Hey, hey, hey. What's up,
Hey,
Joe? How's it going, man?
what's going on, Figsy? How you doing?
Yeah, really good. Welcome back to the show. We've got Joe Rad for his fourth episode. Joe will be
Yeah.
co-host again. Unfortunately, Will couldn't be here tonight, but Will wanted to send his love to Joe, Chat, and everyone else out there.
Yeah, man. We miss you, Will. Can't live up to that meme game you've been bringing lately, just so you know. Doing a great job. Killing it. I've been dying on those sections.
Well, speaking of that, Will has given me his memes for the week.
Oh,
So
yes.
meme
Nice.
time will be back with and it's all Will's memes, so 100% of the credit goes to Will.
Nice, dude. Very cool. I'm excited.
Hey, how was your Christmas, Joe?
Unbelievable. Honestly, I had a really nice Christmas. Got some really good
Nice,
gifts
good to
this
hear.
year. Got some nice goodies to show off. Hopefully, we have a minute for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
So today we're excited, guys. I got one of my old friends, Jason Davis, and Jason has, I believe, a full NTSC PS3 set, and he is going on the journey of a full sealed PS4 NTSC set. So this will be a really interesting show. So please welcome Jason to the show, guys. Hey, Jay, how
Hey,
you going?
everybody. Hello,
Woo.
hello. How are you?
Welcome. What's
Yeah,
going on,
good
man?
man yourself.
Doing good, doing good. How was the holidays?
Really, really good. I seen my family for seen my grandparents for the first time since before COVID, so it was really really special for me.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
awesome.
Joe, how about yourself?
Yeah, I had a really nice holiday as well. Seeing my whole family takes like 3 days, so it's always it's a big thing. But it was really cool, and yeah, it's nice to kind of get back to normal with the COVID stuff kind of dying down and people being more comfortable and traveling more. It felt a little more normal this year, so yeah, a really good time. Got some cool presents too, which is really all that matters. So
Awesome.
How about yourself, Jay? How was your holiday break, mate?
More relaxing than I would have expected. We ended up having minus 50 wind chills on Christmas Day. So it was kind of a stay inside because, sun's out, but yet your skin goes numb at about 30 seconds.
Yeah, I've never actually experienced that in my life, so I would say I'm jealous, but I'm sure like it's cool for 5 minutes and then it sucks.
negative
You ain't
50 degrees, not cool.
Yeah, you ain't missing out on much.
You would
Leaves
think
more
it was
time
cool
to go.
for about 2 seconds.
Yep. Leaves more time to go through and just keep on top of everything.
Mm-hmm. It does make winter feel cozy though, and the Christmas feel cozy when you're stuck in the house and it's warm and you don't want to go out. And I don't know, it kind of has its charm to it, I suppose. But if you have to shovel snow, it loses its charm pretty quickly. Yeah, winter time, I'd say that's for me. That
Yep.
romanticism goes away quickly.
Yep.
Sounds like a good excuse to play video games.
It really is.
And that's true. That is true.
So, Jay, tell us about yourself and your collection, man.
Well, I've been collecting since PS3. I came in as the 90s kid from the sports card world, so collecting's always kind of been in my blood, and moved to video games when I realized I can actually play and collect. That's a nice feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So I started collecting PS3, completed the PS3 set minus NBA Elite, then moved on to PS4, and I said, man, it's time to step it up. So I'm trying for a full sealed set running through all NTSC.
That's wild,
It,
man.
it,
Insane.
it's crazy. I've been listening to some of your previous episodes, and it's always a blast to hear some of the other collections that are out there, the vast breadth of collections from systems to consoles. And I said, no, I need to take a step back, and I'm just going to do a laser focus set. I know Figsy, we were able to experience some time together, getting to collect some stuff and send it over to you to finish up. And that to me is where the pursuit is at, and trying to get 100% on a full collection that's targeted to just one thing.
It's really good to have a complete focus like that, and be known as the PS3 guy or the PS4 guy. And it's special what you're doing, and especially going for a full sealed set. Like, once you complete it and you tell people about it, like it's a thing that people who aren't interested in video games will be like, "Have you heard about that full sealed PS4 set? That's amazing."
I remember when PS2 was finished, somebody came out and said, yeah, here's a full PS2 library. And at that point, it was like 17 or 1800 titles. I have, I think, 2200 going on PS3 right now, and that's not even including much of this year. I don't, I can't fathom what the final count is going to be when the system actually has its final days.
So I'm curious, like, are you going for, when you say like a full sealed set, like, do you mean like all variants too, or just like a single copy? Like,
single copy. If it
okay,
happens
cool.
to be a variant to go with it, so be it.
Mhm.
I've seen what some of the places are doing and convention exclusives, store exclusives. Nah, single copy is good for me. As long as
Yeah.
it's just if it's new release, game of the year type stuff, we'll include that. But we don't need deluxe day ones on top of base games, on top of collector's editions.
So I'm at the point with my VR collection that am like, should I get the weird variants? There's only a couple. There's not too many. It's actually realistic for the VR set, but there are like there's like a Tokyo Chronos Kickstarter edition cover that sells for like $150, and I'm like,
Dang.
nah. But I'm like, I would have the full set if I had that. You know what I mean? So it's like when you collecting, it starts to become like a like when you say you have to focus sometimes, like you really do have to decide, like, no, this is what I'm doing, and this is my goal, and I'm going to stick to that, and I'm not going to get distracted by the little side, rabbit holes you can go down, like, because yeah, and I'm so guilty of it. I've done it. So I'm like, I want to say I don't do it, but I do.
You're bringing back PTSD from my PS3 journey right now. This is my list.
Yeah.
And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Exactly. It never stops, but you got to have like the list, and you need to have like an end to it. So
yeah, definitely.
I hit a point where I stopped adding to the list, and Tristan sends me PMs like weekly still of games that I've never seen before, and I don't add any of them to a list anymore.
That's the big thing, is it becomes so overwhelming these days when people say, where do you want to start? It's like, find your end. Don't even start until you have an end.
I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
Dave,
I've got a few more questions on your set. So, are you collecting the limited run games?
I am.
Oh my god. Wow.
And it's funny you should mention that. And trying to get prepared for this, I figured I got to start catching up on some stuff. You guys are talking just previously about limited runs market, and it's been an interesting trend the way they're going. More often than not, titles are not exceeding. And I think it was you, Figsy, who said by about 2018 titles started to level off. Yep, that I've noticed that, and I think that coincides with the pre-order system. Once they opened up to pre-orders, the game started to slowly dissipate in terms of that jump in value shortly after release.
Yeah, and makes sense, because with the pre-order system, people didn't miss out. So the main people who would have been buying on eBay would have been sitting there the night the game came out and would have just missed out, or would have been like, shit, limited run was last night, I forgot about it. Fuck. They're the ones who would have been, going on eBay paying double the price. It's not people who find out about the game 6 months after it comes out, because you don't really care about it.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a few titles that I just sat on them, and slowly but surely the price has gone down and gone down, especially on some of the VR titles. Like some of their releases were, pushing $80, $90, $100, and they've come down to like 60 over the last year or so. So it's limited run will literally just end up being like any other developer at some point, where they just have a list of desirable games that everybody wants, and then there's a list of games that are only sought after by full set collectors. Let's just, or people who are into specific genres. But, I think we've talked about 1,000 times, like some of the Kemco RPGs, it's just that's not that desirable for a lot of people. And then there's a lot of genres in general that I'm not interested in. Like they do visual novel stuff sometimes that I'm not a huge collector of and stuff. So, What
do you guys think of the titles that they're just randomly slipping in that are limited to 1,000 or 1,500 copies?
I think it'll come down to the point that because the set's so big, there isn't going to be as many people like you going for the full set. So even though there's 1,000 copies, now that there would be at least 100, probably 200 games on the PS4 with 1,000 copies. So it's not like the PS3 where, you know, you got Class of Heroes 3G has a low print run, so you got to buy that for the collection. There's so many today that, you know, I could show you a ton of games in here that have 1,000 copies that half the chat wouldn't have even heard of. No one cares about them. I feel that'll be the case. It's, you know, there's a few titles early on, like Griffin Knight Epic is always going to be rare and expensive because
Why you
so
always
many
gotta bring
people
that up, man? It's like the one shmup I don't know.
But that's
Are
a
you-
perfect
are you-
example. Like, there's
Are
a
you
few
looking for a
games
copy,
just like
Joe?
that.
Yes and no. It's expensive, so it's one of those things where it's not a priority. But yeah, I do.
Joe,
have
I
a
was
copy.
considering selling my copy, so
I-
I'll send you a message.
I
first.
have it on the Switch, so it's not like a real desperate priority, but it, you know, it is. Yeah, it is a priority. I want to have it, but the full shmup collection would require me to get a couple expensive things. So it's What are you gonna say?
Let's chat afterwards.
Okay.
I'm considering getting rid of my Strictly Limited because one of the things that's been weighing on my mind is seeing companies like Strictly Limited release a game and then 12 months later, North America
retail.
gets a copy.
Yeah.
And I'd rather own the North American copy than a Strictly Limited copy, so I stopped buying from them.
Yep.
They're notorious for that, especially them. That's another thing these companies, like, I feel like, well, that's another thing I was going to say about Limited Run too. Like, I feel like I know that company and they're going to start re-releasing their stuff on PS5 and devaluing their PS4 stuff. Like it's going to happen. Like, I have like Layers of Fear on PS4. It's very valuable, and there's already a PS5 copy announced, and I know it's going to just tank the value of that game. It'll still probably be worth a lot, but they're going to do that to their own customers to try to sell, and they're going to try to sell the same game to their own customers again, and at the same time devaluing the copy. It's going to happen. I just, not for everything, obviously, but I can totally see that happening. Like, remember buying it on this? Buy it again. They Bill and Ted PS5. Woo! No, I'm just kidding.
And if they can, they'll re-release it on the PS3, the Wii U, the 3DS, anything they can get their hands on. Shit, if they can make an NES version of it, they'll release it on that. Played on the software it deserves to be played on, because it's an 8-bit game.
That's so funny. Yeah, I can't wait to their Atari Lynx collection to come out soon or something. Their Nokia N-Gage series will be coming out. Just wait.
No, it'll be here's our iOS series, the best of.
I don't want to. I like Limited Run though for overall what they do. I mean, I'm not going to poo in their company because they do release a lot of games that I'm thrilled they release. So, yeah, I hope they keep doing it. But I am totally with you on Strictly Limited, especially like. Do you guys know anything about the Darius collection? Darius games on the PS4? So, it's got to be like the most confusing
for me, because I would much prefer to have the retail release than the stupid Strictly Limited version.
There's like 85 versions of the same game, and like they're all worth different prices, and it's like it's the same game in like different packaging, and it's so confusing, and that type of stuff irritates me because I'm in that situation now where it's like, well, I own these games on these releases. In my mind, though, do I need to get the stupid Strictly Limited one too to have the complete set? Like, I get OCD about these things. Like, it's called, so they have the Cosmic Revelation Collection, which is like 2 games that got released individually in the West, which is like G Darius and Darius, whatever. And I own them both in the West, but do I want the collection too? It's like, that's the type of stuff that drives me crazy because, like, I'm with you, Jay. Like, sometimes I buy it and I order it, and then all of a sudden it gets released 30 other ways cheaper, and it's a Western release, and I'm like, or an American release, and I'm like, well, I would have rather just had this. I don't know. It gets frustrating.
What is interesting is we're almost at the point, because there's so many releases, is for Jay, for example, can wait and not miss out, and the game won't actually become more expensive. So it's not like in early PS4 collecting, if you didn't buy something, you were paying way more for it. But today, you could probably wait 12 months and pay the same price and, get the version you're after because it gets re-released on every system.
Yep, and that's one of the things I've been trying to do is instead of that breadth, I go for depth, and there just isn't that many games. Stray is one that comes to mind right now because I've only seen it with I Am 8-Bit and GameStop. I don't believe we had too much of a physical presence beyond that.
I haven't been able to find a PS4 copy of Stray. It's like sold out everywhere around here.
Yeah, GameStop.com had it, and I don't know if it's coming in sealed. We know the notoriousness that is GameStop, but if it comes from factory or from warehouse, we'll be able to actually hopefully have that confirmed tomorrow. So that's one that you just don't know, and there are going to be a couple that sneak through like that, but more often than not, yeah, you don't see those price increases these days until 6+ months down the road.
Jade, on that's an interesting topic. So you're going for a full sealed set. How many games in the collection aren't sealed, and is there a sealed version out there?
How many games aren't? Yeah, how you mean? How many games are in it right now?
Yeah, like, are there any? I know there's obviously Switch games that come unsealed. Are there any PS4 games that didn't come sealed?
That's one of the particular ones. That's an interesting question. I've had the conversation with a few members where there's about a half dozen that don't come in traditional shrink.
Like,
So trying to keep
seal?
the Y they come in heat shrink versus Y fold. So
Yep.
keeping up on that. If I always had to choose, I would choose to get traditional Y fold, but you got your Firewatch, probably the most notorious of it.
Yeah.
But then there's still a handful of other ones that they're only known to be heat shrunk, which makes that a challenge. And I don't think I've seen any games come out that have been or that have to be opened. Maybe the biggest challenge to this is there's a couple of them that are only released in collector's editions. So NIS released SNK Heroines, which didn't have a standard release. You could only get it from their collector's edition. So if you're trying to chase down those full sets, there's a few of them that are going to exist in just an expensive copy, and that's it.
Here's a question: would you ever buy just the sealed game out of the collection? Because I've done that.
If it was the right price, absolutely.
Yeah. So Power Roomy is a shoot 'em up that like the Play Asia release is like $150, and I don't like the game. I'm just being honest. I played it. I don't like it, and so I saw like someone just sold just the game out of it for like 40. I was like, deal, and I'm satisfied. It's in the collection. I can consider that complete. But yeah, I've been getting more lenient in my collecting in the last few years. Like I used to just be like, no, everything has to be immaculate, perfect, complete in box, and like I feel like now I'm just like, nah, as long as it's decent and I get what I need, I'm happy. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
And just to jump in, I don't know, Figsy, how often you want to jump in, but a question from Robot on Doki Doki. That one was, yeah, that's actually a good one. That's one of the few that isn't, and that's because their first print was heat shrunk because it saved costs. They would have had to go up by almost $10, they said, if they were to release that one in Y-Fold. So if you see a future print of that one in Y-Fold, it's not the first edition of the copy.
I just wanted to add on the Firewatch comment. So I remember at the time that was a controversy, and Limited Run released a big statement from Sony on why it was heat shrunk. So apparently the Sony warehouse keeps a certain amount of Y seals, and once they run out, there's one roll left, and the last roll is a heat seal. So they ran out of rolls when they were sealing Firewatch. So like 1,500 copies of Y sealed, and then they used the backup heat seal when they restocked. So if you ever see a heat seal, it means like they're at the end of the roll of shrink wrap. So it is official, but it's one of those
That's
things.
interesting because I remember too, I saw one of the Facebook groups, somebody just recently acquired from Limited Run directly a Y-Fold Firewatch. So they knew what they had, or they somehow rebought it at some point from somebody, and they were giving it away for part of their promotion for their biggest customers. So intentional or not, they definitely knew what they were doing.
Oh, they knew. They knew 100%. I got a heat shrinked copy, which I was thankful for because I wanted to play the game. So knowing that it was heat shrink, I opened it straight away. if I got a Y seal, it would still be sealed.
Oh, definitely.
That's got to be frustrating, though. Like,
No, I actually was glad because I really wanted to play it. So for me, I finished the game. I enjoyed it. It's just sitting on my shelf. There's no difference, you know. It is
that's
what it
fair.
is.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, I know you said you're going for like a sealed collection. Do you buy digitally to play your games? Do you buy 2 copies, or how do you usually?
I moved on to PS5, and I've actually been straying away more and more from playing. Working in IT, my job is to sit in front of a screen all day, and the last thing
fair.
you want to do when you come home is usually sit in front of a screen. So, with my wife and I, we both have a shared board game interest, so that's usually where more of my time goes. The few
That's
times
cool.
I do, though, I move on to PS5 and play some games on there.
Now, a
Yeah,
few
I've-
more questions about your PS4 set because
Mhm.
everyone watching this is going to ask all these questions, I'm sure. Are you collecting any exclusives from the PAL region or Japan? I know you mentioned Strictly Limited.
I was only doing strictly limited Play Asia because I got on from day one. If they're the first to go, if I had to make a decision, and I will potentially be looking to the Facebook groups to offer some of those up to make room. I don't otherwise pursue other region games because it's just too crazy. There's no
Now you
way.
said you're
That would be a
a
lot,
New
man. There'd be
Zealand
like
based.
Yeah.
6,000 games at that point. It'd just be
What
absurd.
what's your count, Figsy, for
you
the PS3 set?
PS3, I've got 2,300 plus. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys seen Chris, who came on the other week, had 2,800 PS3 games and still counting. You know,
That's
if you want to
amazing.
go off on tangents, like we spoke, you could potentially get 6,000 games that are all unique if you really want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yep, and it's overwhelming otherwise if you try to think about it in that large of a scope.
I got like 250 PS3 games, and I'm pleased as punch. Thank you.
Yeah, you're at 2,200 PS4, you said?
Pull it up here quickly. I have on track. Oh, let's not do this. Let's go. I'm referencing my Excel sheet to keep track of everything.
You gotta have one for once you get to that point. How often you buy the same game twice?
About once every 3 months, unfortunately.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
do it much
about.
anymore.
I get
Good.
better now. I run in the room and I look, and I'm like, do I have this? And sure, I look so many times. I'm like, oh yeah, I do.
Yeah, I'm sitting at about 2,100 right now, 2,100 to 2,150, with the total list being 2,200 through the year 2022.
It's amazing.
Or sorry,
man.
2021. I don't have many of the games listed on how many released in 2022 yet.
I'm really surprised at that because obviously, you know, PS Commander, Nils, going for the full worldwide PS4 set. He's over 3,000 PS4 games.
Yeah,
And
Nils
yeah,
has a push that I don't think I could ever find. He has got one hell of a collection going, and he every day I turn around, he's got an extra digit not in the last spot of his collection.
well, I just think that's so interesting that there's almost 1,000 exclusives or limited run certain company games out there. Like, I'm good friends with Nils, but I always take my hat off him going for this set. It's what he's doing is absolutely insane. What you're doing is insane as well, but what he's
impressive.
doing is next level.
Yeah, it's insane to be that wide scope that quickly. I applaud him for it because I couldn't even think about it with trying to track all those imports now. You already see was it Song of Horror, I believe, for not the German version, the Europe version. Song of Horror is already going crazy.
Is
That's
it?
crazy because I got my copy for $4, the limited edition.
Yeah, the one with the cardboard sleeve. Is
Yeah.
that the one you're talking about? Oh, cool. I have that one. I got it mad cheap. So.
Or not, no. I could see it. I don't think I think I misspoke. It's not Song of Horror. Ring like girl in the front. I cannot remember the name.
Oh, yeah, I know the one you're
Oh,
talking about.
Nightfall.
Nightfall. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
The one I don't have. Thanks for bringing it up.
One I do have. So thanks for bringing it up. I'm just kidding.
But I've got it as part of that trilogy. That's cheap.
So I actually found out about Nightfall in the comment section of one of Figsy's videos when I first started watching Figsy. Like I was like, I like horror games, and someone's like, you should try to get this one, and I'm like, okay. And I looked on eBay for like a year for that thing, and finally popped up. I think I got it for like $80, and I bought it instantaneous, like with 1 second. The second I saw it, because every time the search would come up, it wouldn't be that game. It'd be like someone selling like an achievement in Borderlands or some crap, like do the Nightfall event or so. It would always be some awful, stupid thing. So I sometimes I just stopped checking it, and so finally it was one of those times I popped up and the game was actually there, and I just like had a heart attack and instantly bought it. Like I pretty much would have paid whatever price was on, I would have bought it, I think. So I'm so excited to get that one.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Sean Bentley. He subscribed on my Twitch channel for 47 months in a row. That's years and years in the making. So that deserves a quick mention for itself. So I hope you're well, Sean. Nice to see you, man. Just on your Nightfall copy. Have you got a UK copy, Joe?
Yeah.
Nice.
You want to see it? I got it.
What do you guys think of the horror genre as a whole? That seems to be a subtle area of games that never really goes down in value beyond that Resident Evil because of the mass release.
Oh, I agree, and it's like horror shoot 'em ups and RPGs. They've sort of got that certain niche collectors, real like hardcore gamers who always want to hold their copies, keep them. I'm really jealous right now, Joe.
Dude, yeah, this one it's definitely one of the grails. I still don't have the US Pineview drive, though. I don't have the NTSC on that one. That one's also going absolutely insane. It's like going over 100 now. I mean, it's garbage. Nobody buy it. Everybody sell their copies. It's worth nothing.
Trust down.
Terrible game. Yeah, no, I got the PAL copy, which I'm going to try to upgrade it. So.
No, but yeah, Jay, I don't think that's exclusive to the PS4. I think it's every system has the horror games that are expensive, the RPGs are expensive, and the PS4 is turning out to be one of those systems that horror is the real genre, that a lot of those games are really, really collectible and expensive.
Yeah, same with PS2. You saw the prices with Rule of Rose, Kuyan. I mean, those are the titles that everybody's after, and it just shocks me to see horror as the one when you hear more people say I want JRPGs over anything else.
Maybe that comes down to, for me, I want JRPGs over anything else, but that's because that's my favorite genre to play. I just assuming maybe there's more people who want to play JRPGs than horror games. I don't know. I'm just taking a stab in the dark here, and maybe that's got something to do with it. Or
I think that horror in itself, like the fan base is just ravenous in general, because I'm a huge horror nut, period. Like a Evil Dead collectible stuff. I am Hellraiser freak. I love horror. And so I feel like if you're like really into that, horror games offer a really unique experience because you're the one getting murdered, scared. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. I just, if you're into horror, I could see like people like really loving that gaming experience and want to collect. I could see people buying those games who don't collect other genres at all. They just want horror, if that makes sense, because it's kind of like a horror movie in a way. It's a unique experience like that.
Shoot 'em up, really, really big in the exact same. Like shoot 'em up fans will just buy PS4 shoot 'em ups, and like they've got all right, check out my collection. I've got Sega Saturn games, I've got some Japanese PS1 games and a bunch of PS4 games. They're all shoot 'em ups.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's fanatical. Yeah.
It surprises me we don't actually see more of those, to be honest. It seems we get more of the reprints than we do these new style shoot 'em ups that just never really caught on.
It's a shame, really. But if we go back to the PS3, we got 4. So like if you compare it to last gen, there's so many more. I know Xbox 360 got heaps of them, but
yeah, the 360 was a beast for shooters. But so the genre thrives in the arcade scene. I mean, that's what the best shooters, like in my opinion, are like the Cave, like the Damaco bullet hells and stuff like that. And like those are arcade experiences. They're eat your quarters. And, get a group of people to watch you play. And like, I feel like, since the arcade itself has kind of gone away, like I don't know, it's like hard for people to get into those games. And then when they see those games, they don't understand the appeal. So if you like play one of those games and you're just like mashing the continue button and you beat it and you're like, what was the point of that? You're not getting why those games are fun. Like, those games are meant to be like, you put a quarter in and you try to beat that damn game in one life. Like, that's the arcade experience. If you're not playing the game to its like potential, to what it's trying, what you can try to do, you're not really getting what that experience is trying to be, if that makes sense. It'd be like if you bought Dark Souls and they put like a stupid easy mode and that's all you played and you beat it and you're like, well, I don't get the hype. Well, yeah, you didn't really experience what that's supposed to be offering you, that challenge and that satisfaction. Like I when I play the shmups, like, it takes me months to beat the game in one credit. And when you do, it's like, oh my God, the adrenaline, that feeling you get from accomplishing something that's really difficult. Like, that's why I play those games. Like, the suffering along the way, it's not so fun, but like once you can do it, like that's what that experience is. And that's why I love like shooters and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, man. Like, when I'm dodging bullets and like when I survive some crazy thing, like I feel like Neo in the Matrix. I'm like, I can't believe I survived. Like, I don't know. Like, it's so cool, dude. I love those games.
You're right though, Joe. Like, and I can, like, that experience that you just spoke about, I can picture that in my head, and only certain games can do that. But imagine being a game developer and you're just not making a game. You're like, all right, I'm gonna make this game. So once you get to this point here, and it's gonna take months of getting there, you're gonna experience like a euphoria like anything else. And they do.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's the sense of accomplishment it's what it's all about.
And you said it perfectly. It's the one credit experience. Didn't necessarily, when I was younger, go with that, but I go with the more popular Simpsons or Turtles arcade cabinets, where you just had to blaze through as much as you can, so you didn't have to give your spot in the machine.
Yep. Yeah. Or my dad would only give me a $5, and those quarters were precious to me. So like, I'm gonna really try hard. You know what I mean? Like, it was, it's funny because my dad, when we used to go, he was a pinball addict and he was damn good. So he could spend $2 on Adam's pinball and be there for like an hour. And if you gave me a couple bucks, I could go waste that and real quick. So you had to either get real good or play games that you would get some out of, more out of.
Yep.
That makes sense. Yeah. Had to pick and choose. But
that's interesting. If you want to play the cool games, you've got to get good at them, because you don't play them very long if you suck.
Yeah. Well, Simpsons arcade game, that's a great example. That's a hard game. So like, you toss a quarter in, you could die first level, second level, no problem. So it's like, you got to kind of learn a little bit and try to get good. And if you want, I would never be able to 1cc anything as a kid. That's not happening. And that's actually funny. I remember when I was a kid, I didn't think that was possible. Like, when I used to play old shooters and stuff like that, the thought never crossed my mind you could actually beat the game. I was like, well, it's just impossible. Like, it's meant to make you put quarters in and lose all your money. It honestly wasn't until like a few years ago I was watching more and more YouTube and I saw these guys like just 1cc clear, no death, no bombs. And I'm like, this is real, right? This is like faked, right? Someone cheated and filmed this or something, right? And then I was like blown away. But then it like opened my mind. Like, as soon as I realized it was possible, I was like, I'm gonna try to do this. And I'm not a master by any chance. Like, it takes me months to get a 1cc clear, but I've got a few. It's cool. Makes me feel good. And then you watch a video of somebody who's got the world score and you're like, whatever, dude. It's like, I don't know how you get so good at these games. It's so hard for me to win at all. But yeah, I don't know.
And then a Carl Jobs video exposing him as a cheater coming out 6 months later.
Hey, it happens. People just go chase that clout. It was like that Donkey Kong guy or whatever.
Actually relates to something I wrote down today. A question for Jay, but I guess for Joe as well. Something we haven't really spoke about on the podcast, and that's speedrunning. Have you guys ever touched into like speedrunning games or anything like that?
I can't say that I have. I'm somebody who doesn't even think about 100% unless I've had a good enough time with the game to go back and be like, "Hey, I'm close enough, and I want to see what the rest of this is like."
I don't do speed running, but I really love Mario ROMs, Mario hacks. Like I watch a lot of guys who play the super crazy hard Mario Kaizo games and stuff like that. And I do like watching people speed run incredibly difficult Kaizo Mario. For the same reason I watch people who play shmups really well. I just think it's incredible. Like to me, it's like watching fine athletes perform. It's like going to see, an NHL game or an NBA game or whatever. When you see these people just so good at what they're doing, it's on another level. And like I tell my girlfriend all the time, like there's a couple of discords I hang out with some of the guys who make these shmup videos, and I'm like, I can't even talk to them. They're like celebrities to me. They're like gods. I feel like a baby when I'm around them. I just want to be like, oh my God, you're so good. I don't want to tell you my score. It's never mind. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So cool.
You see the repetition go into it though, and it's the practice, the frame rate, the perfection of just gotta hit the jump at that last second. Like you're right, it's a work of art to watch. I can appreciate the people who do it. I don't have the time or the patience to do it.
No, and no one would care. I'd be like, my girlfriend, look. She'd be like, "That's really nice."
Don't tell me again.
Yeah.
How about you, Figsy? You ever try it?
What's the definition of speedrunning? Like, I've done Dark Souls runs in a few hours, but like it's still hours off the world records or anything. But for me, compared to like weeks and months, that was a speed run in itself. And I watch videos of speed runs, and like, you get ideas off the runs, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that, and I reckon I can beat the game in a few hours and do it like that. But it's never really a competitive thing. I'm not really timing myself or anything like that.
I forgot when I was a kid. I technically, I suppose, was doing that with the original Legend of Zelda because I played it so many times. I could beat that game in like an hour and 10 minutes or something. Just because I knew where everything is, all the secrets were. You'd be like, okay, start out and get like all the hearts, everything will, just be like you can beat it really quick. But I nowhere near world records or ever tried or anything like that.
Well, I think it's interesting is speedrunning's culture actually comes from records and comes from the arcades, where the arcades had records, so it gives you like a goal of something to reach. Eventually, though, they put records in video games, and like magazines would get you to send in your scores.
That was
and then
cool.
they would publish leaderboards, and they would be like the original speedrunning leaderboards. And you check the old PS1 magazines, and so and so was the world record holder, but it's only because he sent in his time, and there's like a VHS tape of someone who did it back in '97 quicker. I love watching the documentaries on YouTube about the history of speedrunning in certain games. I think that's really interesting.
I agree. Gotcha.
What would you choose? Speedrunning or unique scenarios such as the guys who can beat the final boss in like Elden Ring with their level 1 character?
I would do the unique scenario ones, like people that discovered, like those guys that discovered in Halo 2 a certain glitch to get outside of the map, and it took them like 6 months to do it. And I love that in video game culture. That's awesome.
Well, there was one. Was it Zelda where they played it with a Guitar Hero controller?
I think somebody did with Dark Souls too. I'm pretty sure some sicko
did
like Dark Souls with Guitar Hero controller.
Those are the kinds of things I think I actually appreciate more, just because the time to get the new patterns down versus your standard controller.
I do find that stuff fascinating. I've seen people play weird games with like the GameCube bongos. You've seen the bongos. Yeah. I've seen people play games with that and stuff. I admire that sort of creativity. I mean, you talk about making something fun, like giving yourself a challenge. Like that stuff's cool.
bravest thing I'm willing to do is consider switching off your standard keyboard to a different layout like the Dvorak, and I can't even get myself to do that. And you got guys who are willing to play with bongo drums.
Yeah, like attempted crawl controller, and I'm like, no, that's enough for me. Go back to normal.
Yeah, no. I got too many games to play. I ain't got time for that. That's the way I'm looking at it. So like, I'm still one of those people who is in denial that he's going to play all his games. I'm trying so hard. It's not going to actually happen, but I really am trying. So I'm like, I like try to like burn through games. I'm like, I beat it, move on, beat it, move on. I'm trying to go through as many as possible.
So it's an interesting premise, Joe, because like, if you really think about that, I don't want to play every game because I'm not going to enjoy every game. But I'd love to find every game that I personally would love. Like, there's, the games that everyone loves, but there's those games that you would love. Imagine like just getting handed, here's 100 games that you would love and like be amazing. You've got to play a game to know if you're going to love it or not. If you want to put 150 plus hours of your life into one game.
Yeah, I've been wrong before. Where I'm like, this one's gonna be sweet, and then I'm like, yeah, I feel like this is like painfully boring. I'm like forcing myself to play this. Like I've had that happen to me several times, and just got to give up on, move on. But I mean, obviously there are games in my collection that I bought with no intention of playing them. There are several that I like. I'm like halfway in between. Like I play my games, I keep them sealed. I do both. I buy games for collecting, and I buy games because I want to play them, and then sometimes I buy both because I'm perfect example. I just got the new Castlevania thing, so like limited run came out with the Requiem collection finally, so I got the not the super crazy limited edition, but like the medium edition one, and and there's no way I'm opening it, so I bought like the regular one to open it. I can actually play the damn thing. So I bought both. So this is what I do. Or what I do a lot is I'll buy it for my PS4 collection, and then I'll buy it again on the Switch and open it, or I'll play it digitally on my Switch or something if I really want to play it.
If it's got good graphics, you'll open the PS4 copy, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, my Switch is for indie games and Nintendo Mario games and stuff. I don't really use it for anything hardcore graphically at all.
That Castlevania actually linked back to a previous point I wanted to chat about. So we were chatting about Jason mentioned the limited run games from like 2019 onwards haven't really crept up in price. The few exceptions would be like really popular games like Castlevania, for example. And I'm sure that they sold more than 10,000 copies of that. But if you go on eBay today, especially in Australia, you're paying double what they originally sold it for, which is quite interesting because they would have sold so many of them. But I think it's coming down to the whole, good games that are low print will eventually, hold their value and go up. So it's worth grabbing those, Castlevanias or Scott Pilgrims, Sultan Sanctuaries, games like that for the collection.
Definitely, and that's one of the things too, where the more people getting into the hobby, the more they're going to try to find them. So nobody's going to come out and look for. Probably my favorite was Hail to the Chimp on PS3. Craziest game to find in the wild, but nobody talks about it. Nobody cares. But yeah, they'll be all over the Shantaes, the Scott Pilgrims, any day of the week.
Yeah, that's a really good example, actually.
Those are desirable franchises are just always going to be collectible. It's just like, and like, you got to look to the past and have a little, if every Contra game is, worth a lot and every Castlevania is worth a lot, and, probably the new ones will be too. You know what I'm saying? So it's probably a good idea to pick them up if you want to collect for them.
But let me ask you guys
also, sorry, guys.
I was going to ask a question. We're saying popular games should go up in value. How do we explain something like a Surf World Series for PS4? I don't think I ever. Who's reviewed that? Who's talked about it? But you try to find a copy of it now. That's something that just it was here and gone in a matter of 3 months.
That's a really interesting game because that's one of the few games that I actually bought brand new because I'm like, that actually looks cool. I want to play this. And I had a bit of money. I don't know if it was Christmas time or what, but it was one of those times I'm like, I'm going to buy myself a new game. And I'd spent, $60 on it. And I played it for 20 minutes and turned it off. It was crap. Put it on the shelf, and I'm like, that'll be a $10 game. Shouldn't have bought it. And, it's expensive now. It's really
I've
weird.
never heard of it. What is it? Surf World Series?
Surf World Series. See if I might have my copy near. That would take a little bit of digging.
Put it on the list.
It
Games to
came
keep
and
an eye
went
on.
in a matter of, at least from what I saw, 3 months locally. I never saw it hit store shelves. I saw it on GameStop used only.
Interesting. I've never heard of it.
It's just one of the weirdest titles. And people like us, we're the only ones who are talking about it, and it has that value. And it's going to, unless it gets the Syberia or Painkiller treatment where it's randomly reprinted, I don't know if that's ever going to come down.
Well, not VGNY. What is it? What's that Canadian game company that's reprinting the games? What's the matter?
Video Game Plus.
Yeah, VG Plus. They're reprinting up a storm. I have a feeling you're going to see a lot of reprints come from them. So,
but those are all good games, though. At least that's what I saw. Attack on Titan's got the follow.
Yeah, they print good games.
And Berserkers and stuff like that.
They're not going printing. They probably won't print Surf World because it's not a good game. But if it was Berserk, Band of the Hawk, they're printing it because people want it to buy. They're not printing games for collectors. They're printing games for gamers who want to get into the hobby and buy cool stuff.
That's true.
Well, what are your guys' thoughts on reprints just as a whole? Good for the hobby, getting more people in it, or not good because collectors put in the time and effort and then just get punished?
No, it's good for the hobby if you're doing it like Video Game Plus. I'm in the impression that everything they do is for gamers, which if it's for gamers, it's for collectors. Because we didn't get into the hobby to make our collection worth $1 million. We got it in because we like games and we want a full set. But it's the resellers and it's people like, Dusty Games going and auctioning expensive reprints, inflating prices even more. That's what I don't agree with reprints. But if you're doing it like Video Game Plus, I'm happy for every expensive game in my collection to be reprinted if they're going to sell them at retail price.
I 100% support it. Even though I have Berserk already, and no problem with them reprinting it at all because, like you said, they're doing it at retail, which is awesome. And I don't know. Value is neat, but I'm with Figsy. Like, I don't collect for value. So you telling me my games are worth a lot is cool, but then if you said, could I buy them? I could get the hell out of it. No, you can't buy them. I'm not like, these might get sold when I'm old, and I want my wife to have some money or some crap or something. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like in it at all to make money. So I totally am down with them reprinting it because there are lots of games. Like, I've never heard of that surf game. Okay, so like I've missed the boat, and if I go out for it, I'll probably pay through the teeth for it. And what if they would reprint it? So I got no problem with that. Even if it devalues some of my games, if I can get a couple I don't have, I'm totally for it. Keep them coming. Yeah. And besides, like, even those reprints are going to be worth money. Let's just be real. Like, PS4 isn't. That's the thing that's wild. It's like, PS1, PS2, like, these games took a long time to be valuable, and there's already PS4 games that are very valuable, and the system's still selling on the shelves. You can still buy a PS4. So we're not even in close to like the sweet spot for collecting for this console. It's going to be a decade down the road when all the kids who are like 15 now are in, 25, 35 in that range, and they have their exposed, when they're doing what we're doing, they're going to want all that stuff. And it's going to be, that's when the value will really happen anyway, in my opinion.
So, I agree. And I think it's resellers and speculators who are buying it up at the moment and inflating prices. It's not genuine collectors,
They won't wait it out. They won't wait. Like, I don't people, it's a long game if you want to do that. If you're buying to flip and you want to make a ton of money, you're going to wait 15 years to get your value if you're lucky. And it could all crumble and go the other way. You never know. Like the market could completely crash. So,
did you guys see this week the CGC 9.8 graded reprint copy of Syberia on PS3 that was graded, and on the label they've actually put it was printed in 2015, which is incorrect. It was a reprint. So the grading company have not said that it's a reprint. It's then gone on to be put on eBay for $3,500. I then messaged the seller and asked what version of the game it was. The seller then reached out to me and said it was a reprint. He's then removed the listing and relisted it as in the description, a reprint. Someone else has then gone on to message him, and it's turned out that this guy bought the copy for $450, then gone on to grade it, and he did not know it was a reprint. He thought it was the first print of Syberia, which $450 is a good price.
mm-hmm.
You know, he's gone on to make a bit of money, all and well doing that. But this guy's now, you know, absolutely gotten burnt that he's bought a game, probably paid $100 to have it graded, and, you know, it's a reprinted game. So he also looks bad, out of pocket, and, yeah, it sucks. So it comes down to, you know, we all know where he would have bought his copy from.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty shitty. I feel for both parties because, you know, someone could then buy this eBay auction and get burnt again. But someone's already been burnt, and it sucks.
Yeah, that's what the, you know, repo cartridges and scams out there and stuff like that. Yeah, that can be really awkward. Sometimes.
Now, what do you think about the CGC not including that it's reprinted on the grade? Like, that annoys me because it just shows incompetence.
I
Agreed.
agree. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. That's bullshit.
Yeah, that's the worst offending part of the whole story right there, is that a company who claims to be professionals can misrepresent something. How do you have trust in a company at this point moving forward, especially when you're talking one of the grails of PS3?
Yeah, and their job is like, we authenticate and we give you our stamp of approval that this is everything it's supposed to be. Like that's their role. This is the real deal, you know?
Yeah. So this is the game at the top. It's the reprint. As if you haven't seen the video, there's a video on my YouTube channel with Ricky Andre where we break down and describe the difference between the original first print of Syberia and Painkiller and the reprint. But as you can see at the top, it clearly says Syberia Collection, Sony PlayStation 3, 2015, Black Label.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's incorrect. It's 2022 reprint or 2020 or whenever they did these reprints. It's not. Yeah, and it's obviously gone through their system now being graded, and, you know, people are going to get burnt. Someone already has, and that seller's most likely going to still try and make money on it, which you can't blame him for.
No, I don't blame him.
He just now has to advertise that, again, it's the reprint, which he is. I messaged the seller. He messaged me back within 30 minutes and said it was a reprint. So
he should take it and make it an eBay 101 rare. It's a miscategorized, regraded game now that no other one will ever exist.
Misprint, yeah. That's smart. Play it up.
Yeah, Jazz,
super unique. That's smart. Charge double, actually.
The grading company stopped out. You'll never see this again.
They learned their lesson now.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that eBay seller's watching this and he's like, "That's a good idea."
It's true, unique.
I just saw a short video on the guy who bought Mark McGuire's home run record-breaking ball. He paid $3 million, and now they're saying it's worth 10% of that because of future home run records gone and steroids. So why not try to capitalize on it now? How often are companies going to make that significant of a mistake now that somebody's done it once?
And it's funny you say that. So there's a thing I watch some investing channels on YouTube. And there's a thing about investing in people that are alive to people that are dead. And when you invest in someone that's dead, nothing can change. You know, there are things, unless something comes out later on, things aren't going to change. But then if you invest in like people that are alive or certain events and stuff. A really good example is Tom Brady's last ever home run touchdown ball or whatever it was.
Home run touchdown ball.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It was like the last ball of the last game.
His hat trick field goal, yes.
And then he came out of retirement, so the ball suddenly it doesn't mean anything, you know.
Yeah, that was a real story. That was very disappointing. Guy paid like $1 million for it or something, and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm coming back."
But that's the thing. Tom Brady doesn't care. You know?
No,
I think the guy was still compensated for his efforts, but unfortunately, I think this was also when Tom was known to be tied to a company that's also in major legal trouble.
Yeah. He had a few issues. He'll be all right. He'll bounce back.
It happens. It's obviously not the celebrity's fault, you know. It's a couple of greedy people that are going through the courts right now, and we're seeing it public.
Yeah, man, my R. Kelly collection really went down in value. That bastard.
And that's the thing about these people, you know, the music that they created is still artwork, you know, it never changes and different things like that.
Dude, my signed Yeezys are worth nothing. Sorry, I got rid of these jokes. Keep going.
It all seems to boil down to, can you get on the board early? And nothing is more prevalent than the collectible card game. Being with my second hobby as board games, I watch Kickstarter, and you see guys investing $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for the brand new collectible card game in hopes it's the next Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or even Pokemon. I mean, those titles are just they don't take off, but they're making six figures on a regular basis. So if you can't get in early, it's like, well, as you guys mentioned, there's just more to go around.
Yeah, my younger brother had an insane Magic collection, and I'm pretty sure he's very upset what he did with it. I don't think he kept it. He probably traded it for a pack of bubble gum, something. You know what I mean? But he used to have he was so into it. Pokemon cards too are absurd, like the original Pokemon cards. I can't believe Pokemon collectors. You guys are crazy. I'm sorry, it's just insane. You guys, it was Pokemon toilet paper you guys collected. It's just the most voracious group of collectors I've ever seen in my life is for Pokemon stuff. Like everything is worth so much money. Like the cards, the games, the boxes. We find a manual. It's probably worth $100. It's just awesome. It's crazy.
It's funny because I'd love to say more, but then I get told on a regular basis, you collect games, but don't play them. So I kind of feel like, touche. I'll hold off.
I do both.
Yeah, so this is the one place where, you know, I didn't even question the fact that you don't play your games, because I collect sealed games and I appreciate sealed collecting. It's a hobby in itself. I like to tell people that I'm a collector first, and playing games is like my third or fourth hobby.
I think I always distinguish the two. Like I said, like I collect and I buy things to collect, and I have my collection. I buy games for it specifically, and then there's games I want to play, and I might even just get a digital copy. I might play it on PS5. I might play it on Switch or whatever. Or, you know, like I'll play it on PC, play it on Steam. So
I got different budgets for games I want to collect, games I want to play. Like I'll pay $50 to play a game digitally that hasn't got a physical release, but I won't do it if it's got a physical release, you know.
I have my PlayStation Classic modded, and I have games I play digitally that I'm still going to buy the physical PS1 game someday for my collection. And I might not ever play the damn thing, but I still want it in my collection because I collect PS1 games. You know what I mean? It's different. It's not like the same hobby. People don't understand, like, there's a difference. Like, I do both. Like, I understand the argument, like, why don't you want to play it? Blah, blah, blah. But it's like, yeah, you're right. Well, if you collect stamps, do you mail them all? No, you keep the stamp in the thing. You look at the stamp. It's a cool stamp. It's worth a lot of money. And you look at the stamp. That's what it is. Coin collections. Do you spend all the quarters you collect? No. Keep them in a little case. You keep them all shiny, and you get a little thing. You put collecting isn't the same as just using something. You know what I mean? Just because, Jay Leno collects cars, does he drive them all every day? No, he has them in a garage and he cleans them and he washes, polishes them, and he looks, it's not the same hobby. People don't, it comes down to the end of the day that everybody likes to crap on everybody else's hobbies because they think theirs is cool, but everybody else's is lame. It's just what it comes down to. It's like people are like, you like games? All I do is watch sports. I'm like, well, I don't care. That's your hobby. I don't care. I don't spend a lot of time watching sports, but I don't care if you do. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't see any different. I don't think it's any sillier for me to own all these games than when I go over someone's house and they have a Bruins hat and a Bruins jersey and a Bruins thing on the wall and a Bruins stick and their Bruins mug and they're watching the TV with it. I'm like, you're just into something different. It's the same silliness. It's just
and like, check out this ball. It was signed and it's worth everything to me.
Exactly. And then you're like, who? It's the same thing. Yeah. It's like, that's exactly how when I tell my girlfriend I got Attack on Titan 2, she's like, oh, cool. It's the same.
Tell your internet friends.
She loves when I do these podcasts. She's like, good, go show them all your stuff. You don't have to tell me about it. You can show them all your toys.
You mean other people listen and enjoy what you say?
Exactly. They know what that means. That is what it is.
Speaking of games, what are you guys playing at the moment? Are you playing anything? Board games included?
I've been mostly into board games, but I've been trying to get into the latest Saints Row. I've always enjoyed the series, and this one, I could see why it maybe didn't quite pick up the buzz like the last one. It's been a not so great adventure, and there's doubt as to whether it'll be finished or not. But otherwise, no, it's been more board games than anything for me. That and just keeping up on the collection.
It's cool. What kind of board games you've been playing?
I'm mostly into what we call heavier Euro games. They're long story short, they're the games that run 40 minutes to teach and 2 to 4 hours to play.
Yeah.
So
I've sold a couple of really expensive, like German board games, so I do know that there's a real big market out there for it.
Yep, and it's nice when my partner, my best friend, is also into them. Being able to have somebody to sit across the table with, and to me, there's nothing more relaxing than just turning on some music and sitting down and playing a board game and just taking your mind off of everything else that goes on in life.
Yeah, I love board games too, man. I have a small collection, a humble collection, but yeah, I do have quite a couple. I'm really into Small World. I love that game. I have like all of them. I have all the expansions, everything for that game.
I do enjoy a little Small World once in a while myself. Last one we got out that we played with some good thrill. I'm trying to think. Not what I can just see it on the table right now, and now I can't remember the name, and it's gonna bother me. I'll get back to you, and I'll probably cut somebody off.
It's all good. We've been playing Four Souls. We play a Binding of Isaac, Four Souls, the card game. It's a game designed to make you and your friends fight. So if you're into that sort of experience, I highly recommend it. It's just like the entire game is like how to mess up your person sitting next to you and everything they try to do. Like, it's so frustrating. You're like, I'm going to do this. And 3 people are like, no, you're screwed. You die. You lose everything. Why did you even try? And you're like, oh, okay.
Have you done diplomacy?
I haven't played diplomacy, no.
Jeremy, you gotta excuse me for 1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go for it, man. Go for it.
That'll be the game that can make you break up friendships and relationships.
It's an aptly named game then.
Its whole purpose is to literally say, how can I screw over my neighbor after getting the most out of our relationship in this game?
Yeah, those games are fun, but they can be painful to lose. It's like losing a game of Risk as you've been playing for 5 hours.
Oh,
you're just like, please, just get this over with. Just hurry up and kill me. I'm so over this. It's so painful to lose.
I would rather have that than one experience I had recently with a game called Escape Plan, where we played for 2.5 hours, and you can score nothing in the last 5 minutes if you don't catch the right break.
Oh, that's rough.
That those are the worst. And even when you try to teach somebody and say, "Yep, it's time to play something," that if you don't watch what you're doing, and you won't score any points. And when they don't watch what they're doing and they don't score any points, you see the look of disappointment on their face.
You're like, well, that's an hour of your life. So
Yeah.
So for games, I have been completely 100% consumed by Elden Ring nonstop since I started playing it. Just I've had it for a while. I got it for a good deal, like maybe like 6 months ago or something like that. But I just knew it would be like a huge time commitment, and I had like a bunch of other games I kind of wanted to get to first that were shorter. But I finally put it in, and I just been absolutely blown away by how much fun that game is. It's so beautiful. The artwork is incredible. I'm really into like horror movies and death metal and like really dark, grim stuff. And just oh my god, that the game is so metal. It is just so amazing. It's like it's like everything I used to draw in my notebook in high school came to life. Let's put it that way. I used to start monsters and demons and all the scary crap, and I used to love all that stuff. And it's so incredible. And so yeah, I'm almost done that. And then I beat the new Star Ocean. That one was really fun. I like that a lot. Although I think I missed quite a bit of some of the side stuff in that game. And then on my PS Classic, I've been playing like a ton of the Shadow Tower, which is like From Software's like one of their first games on PS1. Just because I was curious, because I've been having so much fun playing Elden Ring. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go check out some of their old games, and the controls are really jank, and the graphics are PS1. But if you can get over those two things and put a little time into it, it's a really good game. Like I'm having a lot of fun. Although I'll just tell you right now, the hit detection is you're gonna have to get used to it. Like the guy's right here, and you're like. You just can't hit the damn guy. Like it's so frustrating. It's one of those games where like
the box is over here, the hitbox, just because.
Oh yeah, yeah. And this game was like before analog sticks, so like you move like it's really kind of like jank. But if you can if you're patient and you put the time and you get used to it, all of what I like about the artwork and the mood and the gameplay and everything, that's all there. It's definitely From Software. It's really cool.
Well,
Question.
Sorry.
I was going to say, question, Joe. I've heard a very small minority say Elden Ring is not a Dark Souls game. Is it? You agree or disagree?
I kind of agree. I mean, it is, but the game design is totally different, and you can really OP that, like grind out that game and not get stuck as much. Like I feel like in Dark Souls, they have like spots in the game where like you have to get past them, and you can try to grind, but it's just boring if you want to stay in the same spot over and over again. You know what I mean? I don't know. And Elden Ring, like anytime you run into something that was a little too tough, you can just come back to it later and be a little more overpowered for the most part. Some of the fights are just hard no matter what, but I wouldn't say it's
nailed it on the head
Souls.
saying Dark Souls is boring in those parts, because Elden Ring just replaced the boring parts with exciting grinding. They just added more content. So instead of grinding for levels, you just do more content.
Exactly. So before in like Demon Souls or maybe Dark Souls or something, I'd be like, all right, well, I'll just go to this one zone and grind it out. And it's not that exciting. With Elden Ring, I'll be like, oh, I'll just go to this whole other area, or I'll backtrack, or I'll just do other content, and you level up that way. Yeah. So no complaints though. I loved Elden Ring and I'm cool with it. I want them to make another one. I hope they make a new Dark Souls as well. I hope they make a new Bloodborne as well. Keep them coming. Oh, I want Bloodborne 2 real bad. I think I might actually go back and play that again after Elden Ring.
I'm kind of holding out for a Bloodborne remake, because like if they talk about enough things in pop culture, it usually happens, and Bloodborne trends on Twitter every single day. It's going to happen. Either a PC Bloodborne or a Bloodborne remake one day.
I support it. I can get down with that.
The amount of money that they would make doing it is sort of inevitable that it would just happen these days. Like we all spoke about the Demon Souls remake eventually happening. There's that much money that they couldn't not do it. They couldn't. It was either going to bring it to PC or bring it to PS4. Well, they brought it to PS5.
Yeah, there are definitely some franchises that you're like, so when are you coming out with a new one? Like, why aren't you printing money? I don't understand.
I'll put this on right now. The Simpsons Hit and Run will get a remake in the next 5 years.
I think so.
100%. There's too much talk in culture that it won't not happen because they're already going, how much money can we make remaking this game? Like, people are having that conversation. You cannot disagree with it. And they're like, all right, we're going to make a lot of money. It's going to happen.
Now that you say that, I don't even know. Was there even a Simpsons game yet on PS4?
I don't believe we got one. No.
I don't think so either.
It would be licensing issues. But if you can make that much money making a video game, like video games make more money than movies these days. There'll be a way to buy licenses to remake that game. I'm sure of it. I'm sure Fox, whoever owns The Simpsons today, want to do it.
I think video game industry is going to absolutely destroy all other entertainment media over the next decade. Not even like close.
Like, it is, man.
Dude, I don't have cable. I'm cutting my streaming services. I'm watching YouTube and I'm playing games. And then
Premium.
Reading books or I'm playing board games. Like Jay, I'm not watching any of that stuff. And I know I feel bad. Like people I've really gotten to the point where people like talk to me and I'm like, you can't make any references after 2015. I don't know. I just everything pre 215, I'll get all your jokes and stuff, but like anything after that, no idea. Literally,
like, what TV shows do you watch? I'm like, yeah, I've seen Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff that came out like back then. Yeah, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones. I like Vikings. That's still on now.
Yeah, they're all the new hip shows, right?
Dude, the only new ship show I like is the British Baking Show. And that's not even new, but I love that show. I watch it constantly.
I watch new YouTube content that like may as well be TV shows these days.
I love YouTube. And
I've been playing a new game. I've been addicted to a new game, and I'm really excited to talk about it. So
what you got?
I've been watching YouTube videos. Fast forward back. Let's go back 2 weeks of Rust, and I've always looked at Rust like, yeah, I was gonna get it when it first came to PS4. I never did. And I got a good PC, so I'm just like, fuck it, I'm gonna buy Rust anyway. Fast forward like 6 days, I've got 30 hours into it, and I'm like fully addicted. So yeah, if anyone wants to play Rust on PC, come hit me up. Me and Andy have got a base going, and we're having heaps of fun. I'm gonna stream it too on YouTube, so stay tuned for me streaming Rust soon.
And if anybody wants to join the server and steal all their stuff with me, you whisper me and let me know. I'm just kidding.
Things you like post the code to the door on the stream or something,
Yeah,
like,
yes.
I'll actually add to that story. So like I grinded for 12 hours playing with Andy. We made a base, 2 doors. He put the first tour down, I put the second one down. We got raided because Figsy didn't set the lock on the door. I just left it open.
It's good stuff, man. Is that crossplay with PS5 or no?
Well, I'm on PC, so it's just PC, obviously. I'm pretty sure PS4 and 5 are crossplay, maybe of Xbox. I don't know. Don't quote me.
I'm not sure. I know it got released for PS4. So
the content creators I watch do. It's just called console Rust, not PS4 Rust or Xbox One Rust. So I'm assuming it's for both consoles.
That's cool.
Guys, let's get to another segment. We usually do some homework on this segment. Will isn't here to change it, so I'm going to spin the topic. So today's homework Will actually set for us, and he asked us to show our favorite remakes or remasters on PS4. And if 2 or 3 serious PS4 collectors, what better than us 3 for that topic? So let's start with you, Jay. What are some of your favorite remakes or remasters on the PS4?
This was a hard one. There's way more than you realize when you start to look at the list. But if I had to choose one, I think we have to go back to Paradise City, baby.
Ooh,
Paradise City is one of the few
I almost picked that.
Yeah, it's just so awesome to go back to that, and there were a lot of criteria of like what made it good, and this was one of the few I actually came back and 100% a second time, and just you can get lost in that. It's the perfect combination of arcade, but yet not too crazy in terms of being able to crash through stuff and just keep driving. Like you get punished if you really want to be reckless. I never could get into a Gran Turismo. I could never get into the real world stuff where one lip tire off the road and you're spinning out sideways. But good music, good graphics. They brought it back and they did it justice. And I was very happy to be able to play that one again. So I definitely would say, got to go with Paradise City Burnout Remastered.
Nice. I think the only thing that stops that game from being perfect is they didn't add crash mode to it.
I guess I didn't pay quite attention to that. I know they added some DLC that was only released in the European version for the PS3.
The Ultimate Box. Oh, well, I like the Burnouts on PS2 with the crash mode, how you had to like crash into an accident and make a high score. I used to love that mode.
Yep. And that series as a whole, they don't overproduce it, so it makes a new title fun every time it comes out.
I'd love to see a new Burnout game. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing those series do so well is they're fun, man. Like they're just a blast to play. And like pick up and play, you're having a great time in 5 minutes too. It's not like these games where it's like you got to unlock thousands of parts to have a good time to be able to steer. You know what I mean? Like it's like sometimes those other games, they're like you start out with a moped. And I'm like, oh God, it's gonna be like 10 hours before I can like, break. It's just like, oh man. So
however, Joe, I don't like the opposite, like Forza, how they're like, all right, here's the fastest car in the game, and now you've got everything and have fun. Because then it takes away that sense of like
accomplishment.
Kind of like unlocking things in Gran Turismo, and then you get the reward of now I've got a fast car and I earned this because I won lots of races.
Yeah, it's gotta both, man.
It's great that any game that can incorporate that to see what you can get and then realize, oh wait, now I have to start from the beginning. Whether it be FPS, racing, you name it. I love to see the ultimate reward early and know that's the tease that waits at the end of the game.
Yeah, good progression.
They let you like have that first race with the supercar, and then they start you, and you're like, okay, here's your Geo Metro. And
Need for Speed is great for that. You start out running, or you get in that big first track that starts the series off with your drama, and nope, you're down to your Toyota Supra, and that's all you got for the first 20 minutes.
Dude, I'm dying.
Just in terms of game design, that's really good game design because, like, they would make a game and be like, "This is awesome," but you have to play it at the end of the game and be like, "Well, let's throw like 20 minutes of the end of the game at the start so people know it's a good game. They just have to get through the shit first."
Yep.
To tease you. That's a good pick, man. I was thinking of picking that one.
What'd you pick instead?
I picked a few.
I picked a few too, so hopefully we double up on a couple, Joe.
Well, so the first one, I mean, I pick a lot of random stuff, but like one of the ones I was like really, really excited about was actually the Klonoa remaster. These are PS1 games that I'm never going to be able to. Well, I could afford them maybe, but they're just really expensive, and it's one of those things on the wish list. So I love some of these games getting remastered and re-released on the PS4 that are really expensive and desirable on these older consoles because this can satisfy that itch for me where I don't have to try to get the actual PS1 games. And I honestly just think they did a great job. It's like a full-on remaster. It looks beautiful. Games play great. And they're really fun games if you like platformers. I highly recommend them.
Just on that, Joe, I just went away for Christmas to see my family, and I was on a plane and a train. I took my Switch. That was the game I took with me. So I played through Klonoa. I actually had a blast.
It's really fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And for a game that was released in the 90s, it's a good platformer. Like, I'm surprised that people don't talk about that with Crash Bandicoot. And it's not, I wouldn't call it like Spyro's level, but it's a super fun game. Looks great too.
Very unique. It does that 2.5 3D thing really well. and it's one of those games where it takes like a single mechanic and like really explores it to like its fullest. Like I like games that do a good job of like taking in, I like Celeste is like sort of like that, where it has like a general idea and then it explores it to like, what if we added this element to it and added this element to it? And I don't know, Klonoa does a good job like that.
Katamari or something. Yeah.
Exactly, where they just take that idea and it's fun and they just keep building on it, making it wilder and crazier and stuff like that. So it's a really good one.
I'm thankful for games like that, like Castlevania on PS4, that are like $500 PS1 games, but they're remaking games and we can play them today. I never played that, never played the original Castlevania because I couldn't afford it. And I like physical games. So I don't want to emulate something. I want to put in a disc and play it. So it's awesome to be able to play old games like that.
I'm a huge fan of that. Like, keep it coming. Like those really rare old games, release them in a collection, remaster them. I don't care. Put them on new
Chrono
platforms.
Cross, Chrono Trigger, like they're doing those.
Yeah.
Games.
Oh, the Grandia HD. Oh, there's been this generation has been. So I don't want to go off into a tangent, but like I think that this time period of gaming, it will be like the golden age of collecting for sure, because we're going to move into the digital age soon, and like all those companies I think are going to go away. Like there's not going to be limited run games, a special reserve game, the strictly limited games, and play. What are they going to be selling? Just codes and boxes, statues. So the companies may exist in some form, but like the collecting itself will have to go away. And then people will look back at this time and it's just be, gosh, you got retail releases, worldwide, compatibility, limited run games, all these companies, special editions. It's just, oh man, it's like this will be like the most sought after time for collecting, I think, for Switch and PS4 and stuff like that. Nothing's going to ever compete with it, I think.
I want to add something really important to that, Joe. Well, I completely agree with you. And in terms of like games, you're 100% right. Something's happened this week that is actually like really, really important to talk about in terms of modern gaming. And it's something that we've all been concerned about. So this week it's come up that a few PS3 games aren't working with the current firmware. So my friend Sean's been playing Dirt 2, and Dirt 2 isn't working, and it's come up with this certain code. And if you look up the code, there's people talking about it on forums, and you have to like install previous firmware to play it. Anyway, 2 days ago, I got a message on Instagram. A collector just bought Aquanaut's Holiday, the Chinese English version. It's not working. It's coming up with this code. It's like $1,000 game. It's not working. He thought his copy wasn't working. He was going to try and return it. I let him know, play it on an old frame where it should work. He's going to get back to me. But like, that's a concern. Like, what happens with these games in the future if they don't work? Because, okay, you have to play it on a PS4 that's never been on the internet before 2028 because Sony did this thing that stopped them from working or something. Like, it's generally got me thinking, like, does every game in my collection work? Because not just the discs. Like, I know all my PS1 and 2 games will always work if the discs are good, but are all my PS3 games going to work? There's a PS3 game that it's a Chinese English game. I forget the name of it. I'll pull it out in a second. But it's known to not work, and to get the game to work, you have to like reboot the game like 10 times. I'll pull it out so we can talk about it. But
sure.
Yeah,
I totally derailed this. We're supposed to be showing off HD collections.
No, but I wanted to get this point out because it is really important to talk about, and people should be aware that.
Oh no, this is something that scares me, and I am concerned about in the future. Is if Sony is there? Sony doesn't seem to be the most caring when it comes to backwards compatibility and preservation with their stuff. So it is a concern for me.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. I also just read an article that said the original VR games might not be compatible with the VR2.
Oh, they're not. They're definitely not.
Has that been fully confirmed at this point? Because it seemed more speculative in what I was reading.
So from what I understand, the PSVR2 unit, the games will only work if the company actually comes up with a specific port for VR2, because VR1, the technology is based off the lights in the controllers and the lights in the headset, and the new technology doesn't use that at all. So it's all based off the sensors inside of the unit, and which is better. It's much better than the old system. It's going to work a lot better. But because of that, it's not just like an easy thing to make it work on PSVR 2. They have to patch all the games. So
there's a genuine reason behind it. That makes sense to me. But the technology,
as far as I've been explained, I don't. People. I'm a dum when it comes to actual technology, but that's the way I've explained it. But, so there'll be
a Blu-ray can't play like a PS3 game won't play on a PS5. Where's the different technology there? I'm sure deep down that there is, but it's a Blu-ray on a Blu-ray system.
That's a whole other sensitive topic. The whole
on that PS3 game. So
what you got?
This is Tommy Oyo, or I forget the name.
I don't blame you if you can't pronounce that one, bud.
I do forget the name of this, but because it's been so long since I've worried about PS3 games. Anyway, collectors who have been picking this up lately play it. It doesn't work. To actually get this to work, you have to literally reboot your console like 10, 15 times until it boots in, and that's the only way to play it. Like that's a concern, I want to do a video soon on how to play this game. I'll remember the title then. It scares me owning so many physical games.
There was a point where I was so I have a PS3 Fat, like a OG backwards compatible one, with just like a 60 gig hard drive, and that's my main system for playing PS3 games. But I got like really nervous about that, and so I don't have like any sealed PS3 games. Like all of my games are open, and so I literally just I got like another PS3 Slim with the 500 gig hard drive, and I put them all in and installed all of them to the hard drive. Got all the updates and all the because I only have like 250 games. It's not as
okay. I considered that at one point, but then you get
because I was so scared of that happening, of like not having the right update and need a day one patch or having it not work. So I was like, no, I'm installing all of these so I can play them. Not going to happen with my PS4 collection. Not unless I buy 12 PS4s or something. It's not happening. So, and you're in the ballpark. If you're collecting seal games, it's not an option anyway. So
yeah, well, that's what I wanted to add. Like, Jason's never going to have that problem, because even if a game doesn't work, the sealed version is always going to be collectible. And if a game stops working, suddenly the sealed version becomes more collectible.
That's true.
I think Mag would tell us otherwise from PS3.
Well, I'm thinking of Marvel vs. Capcom too. The code's expired. Suddenly the sealed version is worth way more.
Yeah, Lawbreakers would be my counter argument to that then.
I think Lawbreakers, they printed 10 times more copies than there were people who were interested in the game. That was the problem.
Well, I have like Dead by Daylight and Predator Hunting Grounds and those like online only experience games. I bought those, keep those sealed with no intention of ever opening them, because they will the sealed copies of stuff like that will absolutely be worth at least more than any open copy will ever be. So once they shut the servers down, they're never going to be like worth a lot. But having a sealed copy, it's like Starhawk and Warhawk on PS3. They're worth nothing, but if you have a sealed copy, they're worth a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. $20, $20, something like that.
I didn't mention Mag, because I'd actually love to own a sealed copy of Mag, but the Australian version would be impossible to find. I went a little bit off tangent on homework. I haven't showed some games.
Yeah.
Joe, you've still got a few more to show there too. Right?
I do have a couple real quick.
I'll show one. Here's one that I'm so glad that they remade, and I wish they'd do 3 and 4. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. One of the best remasters of all time, in my opinion. This is how to do a remaster properly. Like, they even added new music to the game, and they got around, if they couldn't get a song in, they just took it out to get around copyright laws and different things like that. And it still felt like I'm playing Tony Hawk on the PS1 or the PS2. So much fun. I think I put like 100 hours into this thing. So if you played Tony Hawk back in the day, definitely pick this one up. It's amazing.
Yeah, I love how they added some of the quality of life improvements from the later games into the earlier games too, like some of the extra moves and stuff like that. It's really awesome. I bought it. I bought that for Switch and PS4. Loved it.
It's funny you should mention the music too. It's great to see when they can take focus into that and be like, let's update the soundtrack to be more current to what we're doing. I think Grand Theft Auto did some of that as well, where they put in when they re-released one of their packs, they brought in new soundtracks, if I remember correctly.
They did, but there was a lot of controversy with Vice City, for example, because they had to remove a lot of the iconic songs. Like "Video Killed the Radio Star" wasn't on the thing, and just some of the songs that people today associate with that game, they don't even associate it with like the 80s. It's that's the Vice City song.
Mm.
I was disappointed with the Grand Theft Auto re-updated soundtrack myself.
Yeah, I did not pick that for one of my choices. Remastered collection.
Never got around to playing it, but I the thought was always something that mattered.
Well, I just thought Rockstar have enough money that they could have bought everything they wanted. Money buys you everything in this world, let's be honest. And the fact that they came out with, we can't afford the licensing on these songs would have just been a bullshit excuse to, we don't want to pay these people.
Sure.
Well, these companies, when they do some of these, it's a cash grab. It's not, they're not like, let's really give the Grand Theft Auto trilogy the love and respect it deserves. They're like, yeah, throw a nice coat of paint on that crap and release it all with a bunch of bugs. We'll make a couple mil and then we'll fix it a few weeks later. And then, it's not a passionate project of love. And, but sometimes it is like, like the new Dead Space remake looks freaking incredible. So like
Blue Point Games, they put love in the remakes.
So there are companies that will, but this, sometimes you can clearly tell when the company is just like, hey, remember this? Remember berries? Give us some money. All right, bye.
Jay, show us one that done it right.
I don't know if I'd say done it right. This one made me both happy and sad. I went with Call of Duty Remastered for Modern Warfare.
Nice.
Being able to play this on PS3, probably my single most played game at around 1,000 hours online. I'd love to see it out. I got back into it and I realized I'm too old for this junk. I didn't appreciate the internet speeds and the ability to just not have the original wit of playing multiplayer. Being able to sit back, it's like, well, all the people I used to play with aren't online. It just kind of made me sad in the end, but still like seeing the game out given the history that it had, and I definitely support that given how popular that title was specifically for the Call of Duty franchise.
Nice. You just made me think of the zombies pack that they put out, because I played Call of Duty for the zombies, and they eventually put out a PS4 pack with like just zombies, which is what I bought the game for. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and just seeing how that launched, Call of Duty was never really relevant on PS2, but when Modern Warfare came out, it seemed like the series just launched into the stratosphere.
Yeah, it was like Medal of Honor was the king of the hill back in PS1 and PS2. I feel like that was like the big series. Yeah, and I remember Call of Duty just like smoking it. Zombies, I really do feel like just blew up Call of Duty, like that mode.
Well, see, I didn't have internet then, so if there's someone without internet hearing about this game that everyone loves and you got to play online, I can still buy it. And me and my brother sit there and played hundreds of hours of doing zombies, and it was just as much fun as going online playing with your mates. And it's hard for a game to do that. You don't hear games today where they have an amazing offline and amazing online experiences.
I know it's usually their money is thrown at one or the other.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Nowadays, the games don't even have campaigns. They're like, yeah, online, have fun, knock yourself out.
You want to have fun, you got to pay the loot boxes, pay to win.
Yeah, I don't play games like that very often.
Do you have another one, Joe?
Oh, I got a bunch. So this one, it's kind of a love-hate thing too. But I went with the House of the Dead limited edition remake. Nice. Yeah. Am I gonna get it over? So first of all, the actual release itself is gorgeous. So this is like a 3D cover, lenticular cover with the zombies breaking through the wall. If you could see it in real life, it looks sick.
Everyone loves a Slippy.
Yeah, and it comes with a little stand and stickers and all that stuff. But really, really want light gun games to be a thing again. Like I want them to come back, and I really want them to start making them for PSVR too. Like that's like what I'm hoping. And you like this one, you don't have to use a VR headset. You can just use the camera in the VR things, and it works pretty good. The controls aren't as good as like a real arcade cab or anything, but it's pretty good. And I just I want it looks beautiful. I love the games, and I want to support it, and I want to push it more for people because I want them to do more of them. I want light gun games to come back, and like, please, I know we can make the technology work, guys. You have the cameras, we have the guns, just make it work. It's like, so yeah, that was one of my picks. Really love that one.
Jump in on there quickly, Joe. For anybody who's interested, I believe Maximum Games is still running a buy two get one sale. So if that's a title that interests you, you can go to their website right now and take advantage of a sale they're running.
That's pretty good. I paid full price for that. I was waiting for a price drop, and it just never dropped. So,
yep, always fun to pass on those types of sales for anybody looking to save a few bucks on anything.
Heck yeah.
Just on that, Jason, are you on social media? Do you do anything like that yourself?
I don't. I prefer to stay low. I'm more of a reader in the groups. I don't normally do a lot of contributions because I kind of feel like I'm privileged to have the opportunity to stay on top of a collection like this. I encourage anybody who's watching to join a couple of the Facebook groups and just offer up some tips, and happy to reach out and talk to you about games, and hoping someday we can get a group together to start building an official PS4 list like there was the PS3, because it's time.
Yeah, no, I definitely started that with going for a full set. So it's got to be the driven behind people going for full sets. I know Nils has sort of got his created list, but again, he's a German collector, so his list is got a lot of German names in it, so it's suited for him. But I'm sure one day that there will be that support behind PS4. And if anyone's listening, Jason, I'm sure you don't mind if people send you a message and really want to work on like a full PS4 list, or talk about if certain PS4 games got a sealed release or not, and different things like that.
Absolutely. Share some love on the Facebook groups, Collectors of America, and definitely post your sealed stuff, and I'll make sure to acknowledge it, because there's not enough love for the sealed games out there.
Definitely.
One of my biggest things I want to learn more about too is like I love finding out like what games have all the content on the disc from what regions and stuff like that. So I'm definitely wanting to get involved in that. Like I want to know if it came out in America, the US, and Japan, and there's DLC, which one of them has it on the game? You know what I mean? Because like that's where I want to start collecting more. Like I want the copies that have all the content on them. I don't care where they're from. I don't care if and it has to have English. Obviously, I can't play a game if it doesn't have English. So, but I always thought that's fascinating. That's the list I want to try to work on.
I think most people want that, Joe. When I talk about old games, I did a video recently on double packs, and the most asked question about certain releases was, is all the DLC on the disc, or is there codes? And a lot of the games I've got are sealed, so you can't actually answer that when you've got a sealed game.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got no idea. I'm not going to open it and find out.
Yeah, I have been opening them. I ordered them from Japan, and I open them and find out. And that's okay. Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it.
Well, a lot of the ones in questions are PS3 games. So today the codes are most likely expired. So there's really no reason to open any of these sealed games.
Well, the good example of that is the Castlevania Lords of Shadow, the one that comes with the digital code for the DS game.
Yeah.
So much more expensive than the original one, and I'm just like, it's just a digital code, guys. Like, why would I spend $60 to get a digital code when I could buy the other game for $10 and just buy the damn digital game for like $5? Like, you're just getting a digital
missed out
code.
on the physical that has it.
But you're not. It's just a cool cover. You're just paying for a neat looking label, which is cool. But like, if you're just getting a code, buy the code, buy the game. Well, so this is my logic. So let's say there's the regular version and then the version that comes with the code. If the version that comes with the code is moderately more expensive, like not a big jump, sure, I'll go for the cooler one, you know what I mean? But sometimes it's a huge difference, you know what I mean? It's like that game, it's like you can get Lords of Shadow regular one for nothing, and then if you want the one, it's like $60, $70 to get the one with the code. If you want it sealed, especially, it's expensive. So I don't know, but I suppose that code might still work. So I guess it makes some sense. But like you said, in the future, code's not even going to work.
Yeah.
So you're
So,
now,
what are you buying?
and then yeah, but and you know what the way collecting sometimes works is people don't understand like why things are valuable, so they'll just keep selling them for more,
Yep.
even when there shouldn't be valuable anymore. They'll just be like, well, this is the one that's expensive, so that one will always be more expensive, even when there's no reason for it to be anymore. If that, I don't know. I just feel like I don't know what I'm trying to say.
My first experience of that was the Guardians of Middle Earth game on PS3. Now that probably has a more interesting story than most games, where it was on the shelves for a year, and then once it was removed from the shelves, retailers were told to destroy copies. So instantly prices went through the roof, because suddenly the only place in Australia, for example, it was at every JB Hi-Fi store. There's 1,000 in the country. Overnight, it went from every store having a copy, to them all being thrown out and only copies on eBay. So the scarcity just increased, tenfolds overnight. Suddenly it went from, a $50 new game to, okay, it's over $100 on eBay, and it's continued that. But depending on how games are pulled from shelves, how servers are turned off, different things, it can have the complete opposite effect. Look at Anthem. You can pick up sealed Anthems for 50 cents.
I
It's one of those things that didn't work. They made too many of them.
I do own Anthem. I mean, it's basically free. They were like, I think it came with them at McDonald's or something like that when I bought it. I'm just kidding. It's like in a Happy Meal. Get a copy.
But if Anthem had a low print run, it may have had the opposite effect, where people are like, now I need to get a copy because they turned the servers off and they're not going to make anymore.
But what drives that then? Because take the recent one, Babylon's Fall. That was up to $75 or so for what, a month, and now you can't sell them for 20.
I think I paid $5 for that game.
Why did it go up so much? I know they shut the servers down. Right?
It was pulled. It was pulled. Just same story. Pulled just out of the blue from all stores, and people rushed to get it. The prices skyrocketed for a short period of time, and then all of a sudden it dropped.
Do you think it's like speculators who are like, oh, Babylon's just got pulled, that's going to be the next NBA Elite 11. Let me go buy every copy and put them on eBay for 3 times the price and see what happens?
It feels like it's almost an uncertainty thing. Nobody really knows how many are out there when you don't have a way to gauge inventory. Can't find it on any website, can't see them in any store. When it's just gone, people panic. I mean,
FOMO, fear of missing out. It's real.
Yeah, but then someone could reprint the game and make 1,000 more copies, and it'll still stay that value. That's the point I was trying to make before. Like once it's established as expensive, even when the reason it's expensive is like if they release Godzilla on PS4 again, people would still be selling it for $200 on.
Yeah, I can nail that on the head, because people like to think that their things are worth a lot of money. It's like housing market. If suddenly the housing market, your house depreciated 1,000% overnight, everyone's going to be pissed off. Whether they build 1 million more houses in your city or not, you don't want your house to go down in value. It's the same with video games. All these people that have their $300-$400 copy of Godzilla aren't going to suddenly sell it for $100 because there's more out there. And people buying them, like Syberia and Painkiller right now, everyone who still wants a copy is willing to pay a little bit more than retail to get their copy over someone else, because I know it's been reprinted, but I still don't want to miss out, And I'm sure people listening right now are willing to pay a couple of $100 for a game that just got reprinted, which doesn't make any sense. Someone's probably just sitting on 1,000 copies and they're selling, one a week for $300-$400. They can do that for years. If people are going to keep buying them, they're going to keep selling them. And just on Syberia, AJ just said that graded Syberia Collection just sold for $338. So that's $338 for a game that just
They
got
probably paid
reprinted.
$100 to grade and
Well, the buyer's probably in 550, so he's out
yeah,
200 bucks.
yeah.
So I feel sorry for him because he did not know, and he's admitted that. So he's basically being scammed, and it's a big eBay seller too. So sucks for him. And the guy that bought this probably has no idea either.
338 is not a terrible deal, I suppose, for what he got.
But for a reprint, it is. That's the point. It should be $60.
I agree, and you're definitely taking advantage of people who are just getting into collecting at that point. That's what you're doing too, because like the savvy people who are really into it, you guys were like, this smells different. It's a reprint. You could like two, you know what I mean? Like you guys just hawks with that stuff, and your average person, no idea, no, you know what I mean? Like,
But
it's like how so many people are so dishonest online too. Like it's like all the people who sell, they advertise like the NTC game and they send you the PAL game, or they say it's new and it's not sealed, or they say it's like new and it's broken, or it's everybody's trying to just take advantage. It's so frustrating, man.
I hate it, and it is. It's shady. You're 100% right. And I like to think that us bringing awareness to this has actually lowered the price a little bit. There was a Painkiller that sold for like $30, and I'm hoping that happened because everyone in chat's like, "No, that's a reprint. I'm not going to pay that." People in chat are like, "I'm not going to pay $100 even for a second copy to resell later on because I know it's a reprint and I know it's not worth that."
let me ask you guys this, just to play devil's advocate. Rasmus commented on a little earlier buying a different version of a game because the one version he wants is too expensive. If you're happy with a reprint, are you willing to pay less because you just want a copy of the game? Or if you're happy with a different version because you want to have a copy of the game, is there a difference there?
Now that's interesting because I've got the take from both sides because I used to do that with my PS3 collection. When I was first collecting the PS3, my goal was a full set of every game that had an English release. So that meant if the American copy was cheaper than the PAL, I'd buy the American copy. I finished that goal, and suddenly my new goal was, all right, I want a full Australian set. There's 100 games that I've got the American version to that I want to replace. It wasn't until I had that dedicated goal of a full Australian set that I started doing that. So for me, as a PS4 collector or a Switch collector, I'm going for the cheapest version. If I can play it in English and I'm saving a couple of $100, I'll do it. Because logically, I can't see the difference unless I'm buying it specifically as an investment to resell, which if it's in my game collection, I'm not going to do that. I've got other little investments that I'm going to do with that because, investing in games is not a viable investment option.
No. That's another thing. That's a huge point. I'm glad you put up. When people talk about the value, I'm like, if you want to invest, go invest in stocks and learn what you're doing. Go make some real money and make it in less than a decade. What do you?
Yeah.
If you're making $50 over 10 years, that sucks, dude. That's not a good investment.
Go invest in Lego if you want to invest in something it's tangible. It's gone up more than gold or anything else recently.
Lego is insane.
Lego people have shown Lego sets have gone up more than most precious metals.
That's awesome. Gold and silver doesn't go up.
Stupid. That's true. Precious metals? No, little red plastic cubes.
Yep. I'll put it out there. I do enjoy this chase for the fact that I do challenge to find the right price point of investment. It's not about making money, but it does hurt when you're like, I paid $300 for this, and now this is worth $20.
And
no,
it's the opposite when you get a great deal.
It's great. Best story ever. I found Fortnite at a Walmart 4 or 5 years ago, just sitting there for $60.
Sealed.
Oh
wow! Oh my god!
Yep, I found Godzilla for $25 on clearance at Walmart. Like, the right knowledge can take it far, but it's not meant for profit. But boy, it does feel good when you look at it 2, 3, 4 years down the road, and hey, I paid $30 for this, and now it's worth $200.
Jay,
That-
someone asked before, what's your most valuable sealed PS4 game? I think you just answered that.
Yeah, I don't know what Tamashi's doing right now. I don't have Poop Slinger, unfortunately.
So my friend just listed a 9.8 graded Tamishi for 1,500, and I think it's still up for sale. So
So
I
we're
feel
maybe
like
in the,
the market's
yeah.
been flooded a little bit.
Believe it or not, my most valuable might actually be PS3 because I got a post-pandemic for Last of Us.
Ooh, you might have missed a sale that I seen. I'm aware of a graded Fortnite copy that went for over $10,000.
If somebody wants to post a thread that talks about what drives Fortnite from being $1,000 one day to $300 the next day, I'd love to see it. I don't know how some of these games get priced. I don't know if it's the shipping choices that some people make. That game goes up and down more than any other game on the market right now, and it's absolutely insane to try and understand it.
Well, I think you've nailed it on the head, because it's not PS4, it's not people in our hobby doing it. It's speculators from other hobbies coming in. Like, someone in Wall Street's probably, people in Wall Street are probably more interested in graded Fortnites than PS4 collectors, because it's one of those things, and it's probably true.
I think it is true.
We're going to have an interesting guest in a month or so. Get the Games Greg, and he really likes to break down sealed games and talk about like population reports and different things like that. So I'm going to bring up Fortnite PS4 in that podcast. I don't collect graded stuff myself, so it's hard to really get a knowledge on it. But if you're watching all those auctions and stuff, you really see like a game can sell for 30 grand and then a month later sell for 10 grand. It's like insane disparities in prices. It just goes to show that this is really like a snowball effect that's up and down, and it's not, these prices aren't to stay in the future,
Yeah, I'll be staying tuned because that's one part of the industry I don't know enough about. And it's people are paying even more crazy money than just regular editions. So what drives that? What makes a good game for grading? Because I don't know enough. So you got at least one person waiting for that episode.
It'll be interesting. And I've been looking at getting, me and Will said a while ago, like we want to chat about, the graded game market, but we want to get a graded collector on here because, like, I collect sealed games. I've got over 1,000 of them. We got a sealed PS4 collector in here, but even the two of us don't really know squat about the graded market because sealed collecting and grading collecting is completely different.
Yep. And it's one industry I don't know if I'm happy or sad for because I've seen what it's done to sports cards, and man, oh man, it could turn the video game world upside down for the very same reasons.
I'd almost argue though, like in terms of like collecting coins and collecting cards, it's almost like has a beneficial to getting them graded because it's something that you don't play it. You want it in pristine condition. So if it's locked away in a box, that's perfect. But a video game, I know we collect them sealed, but still like they're meant to be played. So I love having them all, on the shelves like you've got all yours, Jay. They look great together. I hate seeing, the wider games together and you can't even see the game. You've got to pull it out to see with the actual game and do things like that.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much to protect them. I know, Joe, when you grabbed your games, you were showing them in the cases for those retro protections.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all it takes to keep them, and I love that it's that simple versus having to pay $100 to slab them and protect them that way.
And and like I said, I want to play the games mostly, and like sometimes, so it all depends. Like if I get a game that's rare and I buy it sealed, it's gonna stay that way. But sometimes, like I'm relieved when I get an open copy for a rare game because I'm like, well, cool. I have no guilt, regret, or anxiety about playing this. Like it's already open. I just want to make sure it's in a clean case, put it in a nice case, and that's good enough for me. So because like I said, for me, what ends up happening is if I get a really nice game and it's sealed and I want to play it, I end up buying the damn thing twice. So it's just like it's a mental problem. And then like, To be fair, sometimes I will sell the open copy when I'm done and just keep the sealed copy if I don't plan on playing
I've
it
done that
again.
before.
So I'll buy like I'll buy the sealed copy, and then I'll buy like a cheap used crappy copy, play it, and sell it again, trade it in for something else. I've done that, but yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, sometimes it can be a relief, and also, with PS4 games, you know what drives me crazy too is like one of the problems a lot of them have is like when they get squished on the backs of the games. You know, like you look at the back of the game and you can see like the disc is pressed through and through the artwork, and you could like hold it up to the light. You can like see the disc, and you can see the dots from the thing of pressed through into the artwork on the back. So, you know, sometimes just because it's sealed, in my opinion, I'm like, that doesn't mean this is a good condition. Like I've seen games that are open that are the artwork is immaculate and they're perfect. And I would rather have that copy than the one that's sealed that someone has sat on, and it's like you could tell like it's been smushed or like it's been like melted in the sun. Yeah, like it doesn't always mean perfect just because it's quote unquote sealed. I don't know. So sometimes I want amazing condition regardless of sealed or opened or whatever.
Well, that's an interesting point, Joe. Does that bring up grading then? Because grading distinguishes between a nice seal and a shitty seal.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it matters. I don't know. I'm happy to get a shitty sealed copy. It's fine with me. I got I got Nero, the Tedesco game, recently for like $35 sealed, and there was a tear in the seal. I'm like, fine with me. That's like still great deal as far as I'm concerned. No problem with that at all. So
I'm curious, Figsy, what do you look for in condition? Because that's another fun topic I get in the conversations about. Is there anything special when you pick up a game that says, nope, this isn't good enough for me to grab?
So my answer to this has changed every single year I've been collecting. So today in my collection, I've got over 4,000 games. I haven't got one that's missing a manual anymore because I've hit the point where I've now sold them all because it got down to I'm missing 50 manuals. I'm missing 30 manuals. This year I was missing 4 manuals. I sold those 4 games. So I'm sick of telling people I've got every game that has a manual. 4. You're like, why not? Well, they're all $100 games. So I sold them all, made that decision. None of my disc-based games have any scratches on them. I have no artwork that's damaged. If artwork's damaged in any way, I rebuy it. Or I just don't buy it at all. So I won't add games to my collection that aren't perfect. If I get an expensive game today that's got no manual, it goes straight on eBay. If I want to own that game, I'll buy a complete copy. That's what it comes down to. If I want to buy a game enough, I'm selling the one without a manual and buying a complete one for $20, $30 more. Yeah, I won't even take, like, on PS4 games, because the artwork's the same size as the cases, sometimes the artwork goes over the top and it like squishes it. I won't put those games in my collection. And I like to think like my collection, your collection represents you as a collector.
Yep.
If I had a collection full of stuff that was incomplete, greatest hits, had red spines here, I wouldn't be proud of that. I'm proud of my collection because it's curated to what I love. So
okay, some of my greatest hits are on purpose, pal. Okay.
What'd you have to say when you were required to get a couple of greatest hits? Like the was another Need? Yeah, it was a Need for Speed game, wasn't it? That no, only came out greatest hits.
You're thinking of Grid Autosports, the platinum one.
Grid, not North America. There was no greatest hits only. I think there was a Need for Speed game that came out in greatest hits only form.
Oh, we got a PS3 Grid game. It was only platinum, but I bought it. I've actually sold it since then because I've sold my entire platinum collection.
Yeah. So, I've always. Oh, God, Joe.
No. I'm sorry. I mean, I was actually saying, Fizzy, I'm like in the same boat you are right now, where I'm actually just upgrading all my stuff. So I had a ton of games where like I wasn't. Like I had a PAL copy. I'm like, nah, I'm getting the NTSC, or I'm missing the manual. I want to get a cleaner copy, or there's some damage to it. And I've been upgrading it like slowly but surely. So that's exactly.
Like to point out there, I've spent thousands of dollars upgrading my collection.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to do the same. But you make your money back. You make some money back selling.
You do in the long run, but you've got to
Yeah.
put the effort in. It's like all right, I'm going to buy this today, and then my rare game might sell in 6 months' time. And you got to do that long game, and it works. If you're going to play the long game, it works. But you can't just upgrade a collection overnight, otherwise you're going to be spending a fortune.
Yep, and that's always been a fun challenge. Doing seals. Number one thing: no punch barcodes.
Yep.
I avoid punch barcodes like the plague. Obviously, having to ship a lot of copies in, some damage is unavoidable. Little nicks and tears, but if you're going to have a rip across the plastic completely, that's a no-go. Loose discs, I've learned to reset them. The videos online are great. Only advice I can offer on top of it is put your cell phone flashlight up so you can align the disc before you press it in. And that's an easy way to get around that. And condition is just tough. And you mentioned buying duplicates earlier, Joe. It's like, well, the stock photos are getting to be almost the worst thing for selling. Is very few people take the time to list regular photos anymore. So you never know what kind of condition you're getting.
I message every seller now. I'm like, is this brand new? Is it actually sealed? Is it the NTSC copy? Like, and then so often they're like, oh no, it's the PAL. I'm like, oh, and that's why this is $40 cheaper than it should be. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yep.
Like I all the time. And it's, and they know these are guys who sell games on for a living. It's not like they're like, oh, wait, there's a difference? Yeah, man. Like we know, and I know you're trying to take advantage of people who don't know. And for the most part, it doesn't matter. But just so you know, if it has any DLC, it does matter what version you're getting because you have to have a region account for that DLC. And so if you're selling me a game and it's not the right region and it has DLC, and I'm annoyed, I got to log into my UK account to download it and play it or something like that or whatever. That stuff's annoying.
Joe, I feel like Will's in this conversation because Will actually uploaded a couple of memes for us, and one of them was this. Can that be any more perfect? They're hiding the PAL.
Yeah, that's exactly what and this is what I mean about people being shady and dishonest. They're doing that on purpose. Do you want perfect example. Okay. So here is the PS4 25th anniversary controller, right? I have one.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I use it on my PlayStation Classic. I get the little adapter, and I'm like, I want a second one for my 2-player. And so I bought one. And then this is what the guy sent me. Yeah. Oh, you notice anything wrong with it? He put a fucking black back. I'm sorry to swear. Put a fake back on it. And oh my god! And so the pictures were like this.
Yeah, of course.
And it was like $39.99, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cheap. It's used to sell for like $60-$80. And I immediately was like, you're a scammer. I want my money back. And he's like, no, don't complain. So I ended up $10. I paid for this. I was like, I'll give you $10 for this. Otherwise, I'm leaving you a 1-star review, and I'm telling everybody you're a thief. And he's like, no, $10 is cool. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, just add to that though, Joe. Like he probably did that himself. But what would have happened if, that wasn't him doing it? He had no idea.
Well, that's what he said.
There's a lot of people out there. Like people ask me to reprint them covers all the time. I won't do that for that reason. I don't want someone to then rebuy it later on and realize they got a fake one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. But yeah, this stuff drives me crazy, man. It's just like, if you, as a collector, you care, and they just expect no one to care. And I get it, but at the same time, it's like, if you're selling something, collectors are after, what are you thinking? Like, this isn't just like a copy of Madden. I'm trying to get a limited edition custom control. You know what I mean? Like, who do you think you're gonna fool here? Like, what are you doing? It's like it's one of like Amazon's. They'll sell a collector's edition and ship it to you in like a wet paper bag, and it shows up bent in half and smushed and crushed. And I call them and I'm like, use your brain. It is a collector's edition. Who do you think wants this? A collector. Put it in a box. What are you doing? Like, I don't understand your logic. It's like, and then like also I'm like, I've returned every single one of these you've ever sent me that are broken like this. Like at some point, can you look at my account and just be like, this dude's a pain in the butt and he wants a nice one. Can we make sure he gets a nice one? No. It's like, no.
There's a little box that they should go collector. We've realized this.
Yeah, they put him like he's
90% of people don't
Asperger's collector or whatever you want to call me. I don't care.
Annoying customer. I don't care.
Yeah, sure. Pain in the ass, whatever you want to call me. 5-star D-bag, but I want I want good stuff.
I showed one of Will's memes. We'll send a few more in, so let's get some memes up, guys. We've got meme time as well.
This is getting better, man.
So on one of the Facebook groups, Nicolo's been running a daily thing asking everyone to show their favorite game, and Will showed his favorite game for the letter G. Go Mari.
Go Mari. I like it.
When Mum peeks in to check if you're asleep at night and leaves again, and they're playing on the 3DS. See, that's funny. I can't relate to this because if you owned a Game Boy, you couldn't do that at night unless you had the little light attachment.
You had to get like the giant magnifying glass with the spotlights over it and all that stuff.
Are you playing your Game Boy? No! Oh my God. This is not a PG rated podcast.
The expression on the one on the left is fantastic.
Thanks to Will for those memes, guys. We'll be back for the next podcast. I have a bunch more PS4 games to show you if you guys want to keep going.
Do it up.
Well, we can keep doing this all day.
So here's one that is definitely a remake, and it's probably the best remake I've ever played. And in terms of like remaking a game, they did this brilliantly because it's Final Fantasy VII. I love the remake. I never got to play the one originally, and looking at it, to me, I didn't play it back in the day, so it looks really outdated. And I know it's such an amazing game. So to be able to experience the story but playing like a modern game was amazing for me. I absolutely love this. So stoked that they brought it to PS4, and I'd love for them to even bring a remaster of the original one to PS4 one day, which they might be doing at this point.
Oh my God! Did you see what happened with the Final Fantasy Pixel Remastered Collection?
I've heard it's sold out,
dude.
That one I'm missing completely, and I'm keeping my eyes on it because it's Square. You got to think they're going to reprint it, even if it takes years. But
they said they were going to do another order drop in the spring, and so I'm on the wait list. But even if they wanted $70 for it plus $25 to ship it to you, they wanted $100 for the standard regular release.
At least you're getting a few games. Like
you're getting 6.
You're not doing a limited run. You're getting money.
No, I would have bought it happily. I would have gladly purchased it. It was literally like I woke up and I'm like, it came out and it sold out. Oh, all right. Like it dropped at like 11 p.m. my time.
Yeah.
I had a chance to buy it. I didn't have the money at the time, or do I pay bills or do I buy this game that I'm not? I paid bills instead.
Yeah, and it you can get them on Steam. It's not like you can't play them. And I played those games before. They're all old games. It's just frustrating, man. And I'm sure Jay, that stuff drives you crazy as a complete set collector. You're like, hey, I'm here for it. I'm in. You tell me the day, I'll do it. Like, what's with the stealth drop? Like, I
got in during the refresh, and I saw the collectors come up and disappear. I'm like, was it actually available? I got through the order process. I hit make payment and confirm order. Sold out.
No,
I missed the standard just randomly at like 11:30 a.m. the following day.
Yeah, and it's man, it's a tough experience. Like when you really want something too, and you're there for it on time. It's one thing, like my scenario. I woke up, I missed it. Frustrating, sure, but when you're there, when it goes live, and you're desperately trying to buy it, and you still can't, and it sells out, that's just devastating emotionally. Like I've had that happen to me a couple of times, and really, really upset me. Actually, that happened to me with the Attack on Titan 2, because originally it was going to be a limited release, and I sold out like instant and couldn't get a copy. And I was one of the people on Twitter like, "You die! I hate you!" Rah! And then they're like, "We're gonna do an open pre-order," and I'm like, "Delete tweet. You guys are nice. Sorry."
I'll just add something to that, Joe. I'll give you some tips on what I do for things like that, because I've managed to get like Super Meat Boy for the Vita, not missing out on limited run games. I've never missed out on one that I've gone for. So I do a few things. I'm always doing it on a PC that's hot wired in. I'm eliminating Wi-Fi.
Yep.
I log into PayPal on a second browser, so PayPal's already logged in. If Limited Run has an account thing you can do, I log in. I make sure my details are all correct, my postage, and then just before it, I refresh constantly. So I'll refresh 10 times.
It'll go live early sometimes.
Exactly.
So you want to. I've had that happen where I got a game.
Don't wait for the
early.
hour. You can go 10 seconds before, 40 seconds after. You don't want to miss out. With all those things in mind, I've never missed out. So
the only one that I had any issues with in a while was Swordsman VR, as a VR game. It was like 1,000 copies. And it was supposed to go live at like 5 o'clock, and it just didn't. And then it was 5:10, and it was 5:15, and then it was 5:20, and it was 5:30. It was and it just wasn't live. And like all these people are on Twitter just raging, like, "Bro, my work break's gonna end. I need to buy this game. What's going on?" And then it finally went live. Like there was a mistake or something, and it went live at like 5:50 or something. And sold out like 15 minutes or something. And there were lots of people. I ended up getting one because I just sat there for an hour. Refresh, just for like an hour. Seriously. Like it was just, oh my God, the rage building in my soul of just being like, I want to go eat dinner, dudes. Like, let me buy your game. What are you doing? Like, oh my God. It's like a psychological experiment to torture me. Like, see how long this idiot will sit here clicking this button before he goes insane.
There's a company that did that. I'm pretty sure it was either Limited Run or Strictly Limited. And it was their like first or second release they put out, and the website didn't work. And it was like 20 minutes until, I'm pretty sure it was Limited Run. I can remember Josh and Doug saying, "We're trying to get it going. We're like behind. There's too many people. It's crashing it." And it was one of those early experiences of like being on Twitter and like refreshing websites, and we ended up getting copies. But I remember a lot of people missing out, and it's not because they weren't on the website; it's because things didn't work out for them.
Was it Special Reserve too? I seem to recall Special Reserve.
I didn't buy that
after one of their relaunches.
Well, they had like a backstock sale, and they had
that's what it was,
dude. You bringing it. I was so mad, Jay. So I wanted Shadow Warrior 2 real bad, dude. That's like one of my holy grails. Like I love that game, and Special Reserves and Limited Run have a version of it. They're both insanely expensive, and I was there, and they had like the super duper super crazy bundle. It was $300. You get like 8 games, but they guaranteed you would get a copy of Shadow Warrior 2. And I'm like, fine. I will buy the 300. I will buy the fancy smancy big bundle, and I'll sell the games I don't want. I just want this goddamn Shadow Warrior, and it sold out like instantaneously. Just like, and I was there refreshing, and it was just crashing and crashing. I had it in my cart, like pay now, and it sold out. Oh,
sucks.
So devastated.
Someone of a bot probably got it and flipped it on eBay.
I actually saw I went to my local game store, and they had a used copy of Shadow Warrior 2. I blew my mind, but it was like open and kind of beat up and didn't have any of the stuff that came with it. And I was just like, and they wanted like $150 for it or something. I was like, I'm not paying that for this crappy copy. I'll get a good copy for that much. But still blew me away that they had one.
At least nothing tops Father Sony in the launch of the PS5 that, was going to happen, then didn't happen, then surprise, happens the night before.
This whole generation launch was a disaster, dude. Like, talk about a disaster.
Because they announced it, I got my money ready, and I'm just going, all right, here's my PS5 money. When the PS5's out, I hit that button, and suddenly they're like, here it is. And I'm like, get the button, boys, get the PS5. And this is like September. And then 2 months later, like the average person's trying to get the PS5. And it's like, well, you had to have pre-ordered 2 months ago. Sorry.
I randomly got messages that said, surprise, it's up now. And thankfully, Best Buy's website just sucked during the time. So I refreshed 30 minutes. Every few minutes, just kept refreshing and was able to get one. But I know that pain all too well of waiting and waiting and waiting.
Hey guys, I've got some really cool PS4 games I want to talk about.
Right.
These are PS1 games that, to me, these two collections alone sell a PS4. I know they're on the Xbox One and the Switch as well, but we got the Spyro and the Crash trilogies. Like, 6 absolutely amazing games. This is my childhood, many people's watching childhood, and they made them very, very playable today. Like, you can play these and you feel like you're playing a PS4 game.
I had that one.
He's got both of them.
Yeah,
Perfect, the double pack.
Yeah.
I had a feeling that you were gonna have these too, Joe.
Oh, for remasters, that was the first one I picked. Because, like you said, you're getting 6 games. It's awesome. Yeah.
6 games that I'd be willing to pay $50 a pop to own. You know, some of the best games from my childhood, some of the best games of all time. You get them with trophy support. They feel modern. They've got all, like, they don't have that clunkiness that they did back in the day. I know there's some controversy with Crash that apparently, like, some of the levels are easier or harder because they took it away. But playing through it, I didn't notice that. I felt like Crash was as hard as it always is.
Yeah, wasn't there like I can't remember if it was for the PS4 or the Switch, but I thought there was like some controversy where like there was a version that did not have the third Spyro game on it, and then they re-released it and it did have it on it, like it had a download code or something like that.
That was PS4.
That was the first PS4 release, wasn't it? Because mine doesn't have the. I've got to download Spyro 3.
Yeah, I think that's same here. I think I have to download Spyro 3. And yeah, there's like another version of it that has it on the disc. So if that matters.
The one you've got probably does that double pack there, Joe.
No, requires content download, it says. So it's got to be the code one, I'm assuming.
I don't know about you, Jay. I've seen Nils' PS4 collection, and he's probably got 20 different versions of Spyro or Crash.
It would be heart-wrenching to have to rebuy the game so many times. Yeah. I haven't seen it lately, but I've seen some of the pictures. It's like, oh my god, to think that you're chasing this one game in every region.
And this, yeah, his collection's insane. He's got like 12 versions of the same game sometimes. It's like, wow, man.
You're going to get Neil on the show soon. But I was going to say, Jay, one day, I'd love to get you and Nils on here together, both going for the full PS4 set. I think that would be really interesting.
Oh, we could have a contest to find the strangest game in the PS4 library.
The rarest game that full collectors know about that no one knows. Because you don't truly know what the rare games are until you go for a full set and you get down to that last like 30 and you chat to people and they're missing like the same 20, 30 games and you're like, oh, so they're the rare games. No one talks about these ones.
The one I've been hyping to people that message me that is starting to finally creep up, The Long Dark.
I've been talking about that for a long time.
Yeah, that was the one game I've been seeing, and you just don't see it. And I think it's going to continue to go crazy.
Yeah, I grabbed it a few months ago. I saw it going up too, trending.
Yep, I think that one's going to become the sneaky surprise, similar to probably CN Punch Time on PS3, where it's there, it's just gone.
I actually got a sealed Australian copy. Our market to get seal games is really hard, so I'm proud of that one.
Yeah, I picked.
I got another one here that blew me away on PS4. So Skyrim was one of my favorite PS3 games. Unfortunately, we all know it's almost unplayable on PS3. So I like to think this is definitely the epitome of Skyrim. If you're going to play Skyrim, this or the VR version is the one to play. They didn't really do much to remake or remaster it. They just made it polished. But yeah, if you're going to play through Skyrim, guys, definitely on PS4 or PC.
I agree with you.
Well,
Comes with a manual, comes with a map. Like a lot of PS4 games don't. It even has reversible artwork, which is cool. So, shout out to Bethesda for still making some nice things.
oh, the bane of walking through any game store, reversible artwork. Do I have that game? Oh wait, it's just flipped cover.
Dude, that's so funny. I have bought a game thinking that was like an alternate cover, and it was just the damn reversible artwork. Yeah. I've done that before.
Done that too many times.
Every time.
Yeah, Figsy, you got to get the anniversary edition, bro. There's like 30 versions of this game, dude.
Yeah, there's exactly. It's already been re-released and blah blah blah.
A remastered version of the PS4 remaster.
I've got one more remaster I want to talk about, and I can't skip this one because it's one of my favorite game series of all time. Particularly, I'm just going to mention 1 and 2, and that is the Mafia trilogy. 3 didn't really get a remaster; they just added it because it's the PS4 version. But Mafia 1, absolutely amazing, and Mafia 2. I loved Mafia 2. They didn't do too good of a job to remake it, but it still is much better than the original version. But yeah, Mafia 1 remake was absolutely fantastic.
Very cool. Yeah, I got a one more real quick too. So I think you've shown this one in the past, but this is always a good one. Rigen Okami.
Well, I was considering Okami.
It's this game's just a classic, and I think it's the finest version of it to play. And I think it'll be collectible in the future too. I think this will be a sought after game. And another one that I was really excited about, I don't know if a lot of people know this ever got re-released, is they actually released Parappa the Rappa again in Japan in English. So it's only a Japanese release, but I don't know. I love this stupid game. And it's designed to, work better on HDMI, I guess, because I don't know if it's true, but I've heard like the old version is meant to be played on a CRT. The timing of the game or something like that with the MS, the lag or something like that with the rhythm. But this one's supposed to work better with the new TVs, I guess.
It's meant to be fun.
Yeah, it's silly. I mean, it is what it is as far as the gameplay goes, but I always really like that. And then I thought I had another one over here. No, I must have put them back. But I was going to, as an honorable mention, I love the Dragon's Crown Pro HD remaster on PS4. I don't know. I thought I had it over here, but I guess not.
I just actually played that one, and I love the PS3 version.
It's not like it's the same game pretty much as the PS3 version, but the actual release, the steelbook and the slipbook and everything, I think it's freaking gorgeous. It's just a really cool release.
Okay. I was going to include like Odin's Spear, but for me, like the PS3 version is the same as the PS4 version, so it didn't really do anything.
Yeah, I agree with you.
With Dragon's Crown, wasn't the steelbook the standard copy too?
I think that's all that they had.
Yeah.
I don't
One
think
of
they
the few games that I think actually did that.
Yeah.
Which as a full set collector is annoying because you want it to be part of the set, but you can't put a steelbook sitting next to the single games.
Nah, I just go wherever there's room. I'd show you the room, but it's kind of a catastrophe right now. And when you get the opportunity to buy a collector's edition or two that replaces the standard edition, there's no rhyme or reason beyond the A's are here, the B's are here, the C's are here.
When you say that, I've actually been selling some of my collector's editions. It's nice to see like squares in my house that I haven't seen for years.
All these walls are like 2 shades lighter behind everything.
I just sold the Killzone 2 Helgas edition, which, if you don't know, contains a helmet and a statue in a massive box. It's one of the biggest boxes for a PS3 collector edition, and I was so glad to see it go out the door.
It's funny you mentioned that. Now you're making me go chase something down. I'm gonna go on mute. I'll show you one PS3 Figsy that I don't know how familiar you are with it. So give me just a second.
Here we go. I'm intrigued.
Well, we have a minute. I just wanted to shout out to every of the other guests who have been on lately. And I've been loving the show and seeing everybody's collections. And you guys have been awesome. So if anybody's watching who's been on the show in the last few weeks, like awesome stuff, guys. Really cool.
Cheers, Joe. We've had heaps. I've been loving the podcast lately. It's been awesome.
I really looking forward to it. Like I legitimately enjoy. I really enjoy seeing people's collections and people's passions and different interests and little pockets of knowledge and stuff like that. You know, this hobby is you can go real deep. So it's just it's really cool to see people who are like, you know, really knowledgeable or into certain things that I know a little bit about, you know, dabbled in. So it's cool.
Especially in the different countries. So
Exactly. I do find it fascinating that a game like over here that's like common can be like really sought after over there or vice versa. Like I've had like people, I'm like, oh my God, I got this game. And they're like, dude, this game's everywhere. I'm like, not in New England and where I'm from. This game is never on eBay. I've seen one in 3 years. You may see it every week, but I have never seen this game. So I am very pleased.
So before I show this, were you thinking Killzone 2 or Killzone 3?
In terms of
You
consoles?
You said Killzone Hell. I thought you said Killzone 2 Hellgast Edition. This is actually Killzone 3.
It might have been Killzone 3, the Hellgast edition, yeah.
So you mentioned the Hellgast, but did you know there was actually a limited Hellgast edition?
I think that's the American what you guys got, and our one was just the Hellgast. I'm pretty sure that's the only difference.
The limited Hellgast. We have a regular too.
Oh, okay. Okay, I did not know that then.
The limited one actually lights up for the helmet.
Ooh.
So that one actually has illumination. It's always the same content, except for the custom helmet.
Oh wow!
And to my knowledge, there was only 1,000 that were literally given away for companies or for people to distribute through various means, contests, whatever. The company gave them out and said, "Here you go, give them to whoever you want to do."
Wow, that's interesting.
That's
cool. I'd love to know how you stumbled across one then, Jen.
I was at a local convention and they ran a tournament for it, and I said I gotta have it. So I played the tournament to win it.
That's awesome.
That's good.
And if you remember a while back, the PS Nation podcast from probably years ago now. That was the group who was running it.
That's sick. I love Killzone, and remember when I was like, "Why aren't you printing money?" Like
the limited Hellgast edition is really rare. Congrats, Joe. You know.
Thanks.
I'm glad I don't own it because I wouldn't be able to sell it, and it takes up so much room.
It's massive, but it's just one of those stories where it's like, don't need to break out. And you just said something. I'm like, I wonder if Figsy knows about this one.
Nice. You like ring alarm bells of like taking me back to 2015, 16 in the Facebook groups, but it's one of those things that I haven't heard someone talk about that for years, so I just forgot about it.
Now, do you collect collector's editions in general for your PS4 collection, or are you just going straight releases?
Straight releases, unless the deal's too good to pass up.
No, that's exactly the same boat I'm in.
Yeah.
I 99% want just the game, and then if it's like $10 more to get the fancy one, sure. I'm in the same boat, yeah.
BioShock 10th anniversary, I think I found it on GameStop clearance for like $75. I'm like, all right, this used to be a couple $100. I'll just get this one instead.
It's one of my favorite games of all time too. BioShock.
Yeah, that one almost came in the discussion for today, but I thought, no, I don't want to lug that thing out. The only one I went crazy for and actually got ahead of time were the claptraps.
Oh, that's cool.
Because having the pair of claptraps to me just seemed worth it.
That's awesome.
Collecting the big boxes, though, I don't think we've heard from our fellow collector in a while. I know there was a couple of guys one especially, who only purchased collector's editions. I forget his name.
Oh man,
I've seen some of the rooms, and like, there's a collector over in England, Suzanne, and she's got a collection that's like thousands of PS4 games, but she has the collector's editions as well. It makes it look so much bigger. Just
Yep.
Rooms and rooms and rooms.
I remember the one photo from an individual who took a photo with collector's editions all the way down his stairwell.
The Maltese collector. Oh, it's a friend
Yeah,
of mine.
I
forget-
have not heard from him in a
Robert's his
while.
name. He might even be listening in, so shout out to Robert if you're listening. We'll get him on the podcast at some point.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, we're 2.5 hours in.
Oh my God.
Well, I think we might wrap things up here, but Jay, it's been awesome to have you on.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. If we could keep
Good
this
luck with that
conversation
Full
going.
PS4 collection. Once you complete it, we'll have to get you back on the show. I'm sure people are going to be really curious on how you go.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah, man.
One, if you don't mind, I'll throw out the one little fun fact. If anybody wants to have a finder's fee, I need the Rainbow Six Collectors, or no, the complete edition from GameStop. I am on the hunt for that, and there will be an absolute finder's fee if somebody can get me a sealed copy, because that has been the one devil in details I have not found.
It's
So if you guys
PS4
can't find
Rainbow
Jason,
Six.
send me a
Collection
message and
Edition.
I'll get you in contact with him if you do find that game. That would be appreciated.
Yeah, that would be that is the secret sauce of collecting for me that I would just love to get my hands on, that I don't know if I'll ever see.
Joe, thanks again for tuning in. It's been awesome to have you, and I'm sure we'll get you in here for some more episodes in the future.
Heck yeah, dude. Got to do a shoot 'em up special. I'm trying not to say shmup. I know that Will doesn't like that word. But we do a shoot 'em up special.
We won't have a podcast on Sunday for New Year's, guys. I might do a special live show. Might even stream Rust or something. So we'll be doing something.
I thought we were doing a drunken Let's Sing special.
I don't
What
drink.
the heck?
So unfortunately, it'd be a sober one. Sorry.
Figsy, you need to get you need to get a voicemail box set up so people can call in for their celebrations of New Year's for you.
Oh, that's not a bad idea, actually. Or like, send me voice notes and I'll play them on the podcast. All right, guys.
Stream those.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Thank you very much.
Have a nice night, guys.
Have a good one.